Good afternoon, everybody. It is quarter after 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It is Thursday afternoon here. We do have one severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued here in southern Indiana here. This does include Posey County. Quarter size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds as a going hazard here. And if we go just a little bit further north here, we have another isolated cell just north of Fairfield, Illinois, moving into the Albion, Illinois area, also warned for quarter size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds here. Again, these storms are going to be pretty isolated in nature. We're not looking at a widespread severe weather event here today. More along the lines of some popcorn storms, as we like to call it here. We have a short wave moving in, an area of upper level spin that is going to be moving into the lower Ohio Valley here this afternoon. But associated with that upper level spin, we have a lot of cold air. Go up about 12,000 feet. We're in about the minus 10s, minus 20 range, up at about 12,000 feet here today. So with that, we have strong thermodynamics today. We have temperatures in the 60s and even low 70s across the lower Ohio Valley today. But that temperature difference between 70s at the surface and minus 15, 20 degrees, 12 to 15,000 feet up has created our surface instability today. And that is what these storms are working with today. And that is why we have a hail risk in place across southern Indiana, as well as a damaging wind risk as well. We can't completely rule out some damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour today. But the tornado risk is very low today. We do not expect any tornadoes anywhere in Indiana today. So that's some good news. So, but nonetheless, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning is in effect here for 44 minutes here and does include Posey County, Indiana. So, such as New Harmony, Maunee, right on the Wabash River here, right on the Posey County, Illinois border there. It's for this storm here. Outside the Camry, Illinois, Mill Shoals, Illinois area. This storm here is what is currently warned. And these storms are moving off to the east and southeast. Let's see what it is clocked at 30 miles an hour. So again, these storms aren't moving super fast. Don't expect a lot of fast storm movements today. These are just kind of going to pop up, meander a little bit, and then slowly fizzle out as new ones pop up and take their place. That's kind of the name of the game here today, pop-up showers and thunderstorms, with a few of those becoming strong to severe. Main hazards today, hail to 1 inch or quarter size diameter and 60-mile-per-hour winds here today. Again, the greatest risk for severe weather is in southern Indiana. We're waiting on this storm to reach Indiana. I will go ahead and I will show you what the current hazards are here for Indiana. Let me go ahead and get that pulled up here for you guys. Just bear with me here. I'll get that pulled up here on another screen and I will drag it down for you. But again, quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazards here today. Greatest area south of Indianapolis. Now, we can't give specifics for specific towns today just due to the sporadic nature of these storms, but anywhere in southern Indiana has that potential to see a stronger storm or two, quarter size hail. And here is the look from the Storm Prediction Center to give you a better visual interpretation of what I'm talking about here. So you can see that Storm Prediction Center here has a marginal risk anywhere between areas south of Terre Haute and Bloomington in that darker green. That's a 1 out of 5 risk, but just south of the Ohio River, Kentucky, southern Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, again, Mississippi Valley and Tennessee Valley regions are in a 2 out of 5. That's a slight risk, a little bit higher probability there, more favored area for severe weather for hail and damaging winds. Again, the tornado risk is very low today. We don't expect any tornadoes anywhere in the region today, with the main hazards, hail and damaging winds. And the risk will greatly go down as well, especially once we lose the sunlight today. This is mainly an afternoon risk. Once we lose the daylight, we don't have that daytime heating component. A lot of these storms will lose their intensity and weaken as a result. But again, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and we will go live every time we have a severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. That's our mission, to have you covered from beginning to end. So that is why we are live here today, because of the fact that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Posey County, Indiana, for another 41 minutes here, until 3 o'clock Central Time here today. The storm near Fairfield, Illinois, is moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. Does have a risk for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter size hail. Also, a microburst risk today. And we might be asking Caleb, what is a microburst? Microburst is when you have some dry air that mixes in aloft with these storms, and that can help pull some of that damaging winds down to the ground in the form of rain cooled air and some of your heavier cores as these storms rain out. You may have a microburst or two in there today. So that is another risk here. Why we have a damaging wind risk today in the form of a microburst cannot be ruled out here across southern Indiana today, or even southern Illinois. We do have some other storms a little bit further to the west here, over by the St. Louis area as well. So this is all thanks to an upper level low that is moving down across the Ohio Valley here today, bringing in a lot of surface instability with it. Again, we have a lot of cold air aloft. Go up, don't have to go up very far, 15 to 20,000 feet. We are in, our temperatures are around minus 15 to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, that's very, very cold. And here at the surface here across southern Indiana, many of us are in the upper 60s, low 70s across the Ohio River Valley here today. That temperature difference is what is creating our instability needed for thunderstorms. Again, a lot of times for severe weather, we talk about the SLIM factor. We need shear, lift, instability, and moisture. We have a lot of instability, moisture, and lift today. We don't have a lot of wind shear, so that's a lot of times needed for tornado development. But we don't have that today, so that's some good news. But we do have enough other ingredients to give us a hail risk and damaging wind risk today in Indiana. Go ahead and turn on our hail tracker here. You can see the hail core here, just south of the I-64 corridor, just south of Mill Shoals there. You can see that where you have the deeper pinks, a little bit of blacks there showing up on both of these cells here outside Fairfield and Springerton, Illinois. Having some hail cores on there. Again, these hail cores aren't very large. These storms are going to be pretty isolated in nature. Not everyone's going to see thunderstorms today, or let alone severe weather today. It's going to be pretty isolated in nature. We do have some other showers starting to develop here across southern Indiana. Ferdinand, Indiana, as well as the US 150 corridor there, have a little cell there. No hail or anything associated with these, just some raindrops there, heavy downpours, with the main instability access a little bit off to the west here, which is where our severe thunderstorm warnings are currently. Only one in effect for the state of Indiana, and that is for Posey County until 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So again, no widespread severe weather expected today. These are going to be pretty isolated and scattered, sporadic in nature in terms of severe weather today. So we don't expect a widespread severe weather outbreak today. Just a sporadic storm reaching the baseline for severe criteria, which is quarter size hail and 60 mile per hour winds is what you see on the baseline for severe thunderstorm warnings. Well, I guess technically for wind is 58 or greater, but a lot of times you'll see 60 on the warnings. But the good news is today, no tornadoes are expected in the state of Indiana, which I don't think anyone is opposed of at this point in time. We're currently sitting at 43 tornadoes for the year, which is well above average. Here in the state of Indiana, our annual average since records have began in the 1950s is 22. 22 is what we average here in Indiana. Again, that's an average. Some years we see more, some years we see less. And you take them all together, add them up, divide by how many there are. That's how you get the mean. And that mean is 22. So we're at 43 for the year so far in Indiana, which does actually make us in the top 5 tornado impacted states in 2025 so far. So we are number 5 on the list, followed by, I believe, Missouri, Illinois, Mississippi, and Alabama. Those states are ahead of us, with Indiana coming in at number 5 on that list in terms of tornadoes. So it's been a pretty active year, but the good news, no tornadoes are expected here today. But we are watching these storms here, and these storms will continue to progress east-southeast into southern Indiana over the next couple of hours, associated with our shortwave, our upper-level trough that'll be moving in. That'll bring us our surface instability and our risk for thunderstorms here this afternoon. Storm movements won't be overall very fast today. Only talking about storms moving at 30 to 40 miles per hour today. Don't have a lot of wind shear today. Wind shear is needed for severe weather and the development of tornadoes. So we don't have a lot of that today. We don't have a lot of directional shear for tornadoes or a lot of speed shear to really get these storms super organized today. But there is a lot of cold air aloft. We do have a lot of instability because of that temperature gradient between what our temperatures are doing at the surface, which are in the 60s and 70s right now, can go up several thousand feet up in the air, and we're well below zero at about 12 to 15,000 feet, anywhere between -10 and -30. So again, we're very cold aloft. So that is giving us our risk for severe weather today in the form of hail and damaging winds. That temperature difference creates our instability. When thunderstorms tap into that, that can cool the air and create hailstones aloft in our stronger updrafts, and can also promote some damaging winds. Cold air is very dense and heavy. Get a little bit of dry air mixing it aloft that can pull some of that cold air down to the ground in the form of a microburst or damaging winds. So again, a couple risks we're going to have to look at today across southern Indiana. Quarter size hail being the main risk, followed by that risk for damaging winds in some of your heavier cores, in the form of what's called a microburst. A microburst is when you have a very intense downdraft of a thunderstorm. Winds can be 60 to 70 miles per hour within those microbursts. Micro meaning small. It's not covering a very large area, only a few miles in diameter in microbursts. But again, microbursts are a risk today in southern Indiana and some of your heavier cores. But we do have one severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and this is for Posey County until 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time is in effect for another 34 minutes here. And this is for the storm here. Again, we don't have a severe thunderstorm in the state of Indiana. In fact, our warned storm is still off in Illinois. We'll have to see if it makes it here. If it does make it to Indiana, it'll be approaching the New Harmony area, Maumee area, Illinois, right on the Wabash River here on the Indiana-Illinois border. We'll have to watch you. State Road 69, the corridor here, moving into the Rapture area, New Harmony area, and Grayville area here. We'll have to keep an eye on for you guys as the storm approaches the Indiana-Illinois border. But we also have some storms to the south here. Have a nice lightning bolt showing up here near Upton and Mount Vernon. Again, subsevere at this point in time, but all of these storms will have the risk for hail and damaging winds associated with them. So storm movements today, not very fast, only about 30 to 40 miles an hour east-southeast today. We don't have a lot of strong wind shear aloft to really push these storms very quickly, and that's a good thing too. With our limiting factor today, I guess our main driving factor today being the sun, our daytime heating today, creating that surface instability with our temperature gradients both at the surface and aloft. That means when the sun goes down and we lose that daytime heating component, our severe weather risk will also greatly decrease after sunset tonight. So that is some good news across Indiana. Again, widespread severe weather not expected today, but we could have a few isolated storms reaching severe criteria. A quarter size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds are going hazards here today across southern Indiana. Nice little storm here approaching the State Road 62 near Prairie and Upton. Maybe a little bit of pea-size hail showing up on Hail Tracker here. This is what we call VIL, Vertical Integrated Liquid is this tool that we use here. It's a fancy term for looking at our updrafts here, see how strong our updrafts are and how they're maintaining. That gives us a good indication of what our hailstones will be as a result of that. Once you see your deeper colors here indicated here on this chart, especially once you get into the reds, pinks, and even whites, that's when you start getting larger hailstones here. Once you get into the, I guess, yellows and oranges and a little bit lighter colors, like your blues, that's an indication that hailstones are on the smaller side. On this tool here, hailstones would, I'd have to estimate anywhere between nickels and quarter-size hail. So again, right at your baseline threshold for a severe thunderstorm warning. For a severe thunderstorm warning to be issued by the National Weather Service anywhere in the United States, severe thunderstorms have to meet the criteria, and that criteria is as follows. You need quarter size hail, which is 1 inch diameter or greater, 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater. A lot of times you'll see a baseline text of 60 miles an hour on warnings. Very rarely, very seldomly do you see 58. Most of the time, they'll just go ahead and put 60 on it. So again, 58 miles per hour, quarter size hail, and or a tornado makes a storm severe. Heavy rain and lightning do not make a storm severe, although they are hazards of themselves. they do not make a severe thunderstorm severe. So, a little bit of information there for you. Hang on to. Again, this storm is going to be approaching the New Harmony area here probably in the next 20 minutes or so. Again, these storms are moving very slow, only about 30 miles an hour. So, not moving very fast here. We only have one severe thunderstorm warning in Indiana, and it's barely in Indiana for northwestern Posey County, Indiana, north of Mount Vernon here. Maybe some small hail approaching State Road 62 near Upton, maybe some pea size hail in there. Nothing too significant there, but don't be surprised to see a few or hear a few pings on your windows in the Mount Vernon area in southern Posey County there from this cell here. Go a little bit further north. This is where our strongest cell is right now. A little bit weaker. We have a weakening trend here on the Albion, Illinois cell that prompted the warning earlier. That storm is showing signs of weakening below severe criteria, which is good news there. Marcel coming into the Carmi, Illinois area, approaching New Harmony, Indiana. Still right on the edge of severe criteria. Again, nickel size hail, perhaps a few quarters in there as well, where you see those deeper oranges and reds, which correlates pretty well with your pinks here. That's your core coming into the Crossville area here pretty soon. Going to go just to the north of Carmi around State Road 1 in Illinois. Going to go just to the south of Grayville and towards the New Harmony area if it holds together. Go ahead and switch tools here to get another look at it here. And you can really see right in here where you have that red. That's your strongest hail core here. Nickel size hail is really what I see here on radar. There could be a few quarters in there. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for quarter size hail in 60-mile-per-hour winds. These storms to the north here are not as impressive as what they once were. These updrafts are showing signs of weakening, and that's going to be the trend here today. These storms are going to pop up, maybe briefly become severe before becoming outflow dominant and therefore weakening as well. So that's kind of a trend we're going to see. We call these popcorn setups, where updrafts pop up, they get pretty strong, and then they weaken pretty quickly thereafter. So that's kind of the setup that we have here today. We don't really have the ingredients in place today for long-lived severe weather, which is good across southern Indiana. But nonetheless, anywhere across southern Indiana has that risk for hail, quarter-sized hail, or perhaps some winds to 60 miles per hour. And we do have a pea-sized hail report from the Golden Gate, Illinois area. That's on these storms here. That's from this storm here. Pea-sized hail from Golden Gate, Illinois, occurring with that storm. So that is well below severe criteria. We need that quarter-size hail for severe criteria. Pea-sized hail is much smaller than that. So that's some good news here. These storms are weakening here on the northern side of the warning. But nonetheless, we're going to have to watch these storms here on the southern side, as we could still have some nickels or perhaps a few quarters here in our southern cell, getting close to the Carmi, Illinois area, approaching the New Harmony area. Let's go ahead and change the tool here and go to what we call correlation coefficiency. This shows our hail tracker, and honestly, I don't see a very good hail core with that. A lot of times when we see a hail core associated with that, we'll see an area that matches up with our pinks and purples here with a bunch of colors. A lot of times you'll see greens, reds, and even blues in here. But when we see everything as a solid color, that's just raindrops showing up here. So that is some good news here with this cell. Again, showing signs of weakening. But nonetheless, plan on some hail here as the storm approaches Indiana. And same goes for the Mount Vernon area as well. Can't rule out maybe some pea-sized hail associated down here in either of these storms near Old Shawneetown, Illinois. This one here might go just south of Uniontown, Illinois, and Oak Grove in far southern Posey County here. We'll have to watch the southern tip of Indiana, of Posey County. But again, our only severe thunderstorm warning is for northwest Posey County until 3 p.m. Central Time. But here's a look at the risk that the Storm Prediction Center has in place today across Indiana. We do have a marginal risk across the entire southern half of the state of Indiana. That is a 1 out of 5 risk there in dark green. Areas in lighter green, this is just a general thunderstorm risk. No severe weather is expected. Generally south of Indianapolis is where we expect any thunderstorms here today. Greatest risk of a sporadic severe thunderstorm, and I say sporadic meaning widespread severe weather, is not expected today, but we could have an isolated severe storm anywhere you see in areas shaded in dark green. Areas such as Vincennes, Evansville, Jasper, Corydon, Bloomington, and places in between could see an isolated severe storm here today. Back to the radar here. Again, these storms overly not that impressive. Again, some of these updrafts sporadically intensify, which prompted the severe thunderstorm warning in southeast Illinois and far southwest Indiana. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, with our strongest storm just north of Carmi, Illinois, approaching the New Harmony, Indiana, and Posey County. Perhaps a couple quarters mixed in there, but based on radar, I'd have to say that hail size is a little bit smaller, closer to nickel size, maybe dime size as well. We did have a confirmed hail report just to the north here on our northern cell here in Illinois with pea-sized hail. That is in Gate, Illinois, or Westgate, Illinois. If I zoom in here, or Golden Gate, right in here, did have a report of pea-sized hail, which is well below severe criteria. That's almost borderline special weather statement, if that, for pea-sized hail. Again, subsevere at that point in time. Not the case with our southern cell, a little bit stronger of an updraft there, so as depicted by radar here. Nickel-sized hail is really what I see on radar here. Can't rule out a few quarters in there as well. Again, the warning is still in effect for another 24 minutes here. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Let's go ahead and turn on our velocities here. Let's take a look at our wind field here associated with these storms. Not really seeing too much here. We could have perhaps some gusty winds here just north of the Albion, Illinois area. Outside of Fairfield, Illinois. Could have some gusty winds here. That's as these storms are kind of falling apart, breaking down. In the dissipating stage, you could have that downburst of air as these storms are dissipating. A lot of cold air aloft here today. Cold air is dense and heavy, and a lot of times when these storms go to fizzle out, they can give off a microburst. That's one last push of air as they kind of self-destruct, so to speak. As these storms hit their self-destruct button, they can give off a burst of damaging winds, termed a microburst, associated with them. So as some dry air mixes in aloft, the storm weakens, that can pull some of that cold air down to the ground in the form of damaging winds, and could have a little bit of a gust front there. But again, subsevere at this point in time. I don't really see anything significant in the way of damaging winds. Nothing too much more than 30 to 35 is what I see there on radar. Back on our hail tracker here, again, strongest core just to the north of Carmi, Illinois, but the severe thunderstorm warning does extend into Indiana. But I also see a weakening trend associated with the storm as well. So that is some good news as it moves into Posey County in southern Indiana. If we zoom out here, not a lot going on. We do have a special weather statement I'll briefly mention here. Just outside of Jasper, Indiana, near the Leopold area and Leavenworth, Indiana. That would be mainly for these two storms here, with the strongest being just south of Leopold, Indiana. And this is nickel-sized hail with wind gusts of 50 to 55 miles per hour. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs or blow around unsecured objects. So again, could have a microburst risk associated with some of these thunderstorms, giving us our wind risk today. Again, nickel-sized hail and winds to 50 to 55 miles per hour here. And this does include the Leopold area in southern Indiana. And that would be for northwestern, I believe, Perry County, as well as southern Crawford County and south central Indiana. Back to our severe thunderstorm warning. Does include Posey County, Indiana, but by the look on the VIL here, we are weakening a little bit here. maybe showing some more along the signs of some nickels. Could have some quarters in there, but I don't really see anything much larger than quarter size hail, which is good news. Could have some damaging winds though associated with it. Can't rule out some gusty winds associated with that storm, um, especially as we have a lot of cold air aloft. These storms could easily bring down some of that cold air in the form of damaging winds. Again, microburst could occur today, which is when some dry air mixes in aloft in our isolated storms, and that can help to pull down some of those gusty winds down to the ground in the form of a heavy downburst, or sometimes a wet downburst is what these are called. Heavy rain, gusty winds, all of those hazards here today in southern Indiana. But we only have one severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana with a special weather statement. Those of you that don't know what a special weather statement is, a special weather statement are for storms that don't meet severe criteria but are strong but just are not severe. That is when the National Weather Service will issue a special weather statement. Switching to their radar here, it is for this storm, mainly right here near the Leopold area. That northern cell looks pretty weak in nature. Could have some gusty winds with it, though. It can't be ruled out. But again, largest hail risk with the Leopold cell here getting ready to approach the Ohio River. Let's see how fast this is moving. Yeah, again, not very fast. Could have some winds, only moving at 25 miles an hour. So, again, a very slow mover here. And that's the story with a lot of these cells. These cells aren't moving overly fast here, thanks to not a lot of wind shear aloft. We don't have a lot of wind shear either in directional or speed shear today in Indiana. That is also helping minimize our widespread severe weather risk across Indiana today. But nonetheless, there are enough ingredients in place today where we could see some hail and some gusty winds here today as well. Looking across the region further south, we have some severe thunderstorm warnings stretching all the way from, looks like the Arkansas Tennessee line there, all the way up to Missouri, Illinois, and even west central Illinois as well. Getting in on some severe thunderstorm warnings way over here. Again, this is all thanks to our upper level low that is moving in here today. Has a lot of cold air associated with it. We call these cold core setups, where we have it's really instability driven is the setup that we have here today. Temperatures at the ground levels today are in the upper 60s, low 70s, but you go up about 12 to 15,000 feet, our temperatures are well below zero, anywhere between minus 12 and minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So they are very cold aloft. That great difference in temperature creates our instability. When you have that with an area of low pressure, our area of low pressure is our lifting mechanism today. So we have lift and instability, which is really all you need for thunderstorms to develop. But when you have that cold air component aloft with enough instability, you introduce a hail risk to the situation. And that is what we have here today. A risk for hail and damaging winds here today across southern Indiana. Kind of see this storm here has weakened that prompted the warning, but you go back to the west here, this storm near Mill Shoals has just popped up in the last few minutes, and it's showing signs of intensification. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few quarters in there as well. As this storm weakens, another one strengthens and takes its place. That's kind of why we use the term popcorn. We have these popcorn showers and thunderstorms today. Not a lot of lightning in these either. These cloud tops aren't overly high today. Pretty low cloud tops, but there's enough cold air aloft. We don't need the clouds to be overly high to produce some hailstones today, as that cold air is just above the surface. It's not very high up before you run into that. So that is why we have a hail risk today across Indiana. And that's a good thing too about having a more scattered risk today. We don't need the rainfall across southern Indiana. We really don't need any rainfall at all anywhere in central and southern Indiana. We've had enough rain for a while. A lot of our rivers are just now cresting, if not getting ready to crest tomorrow. Especially the Ohio River down near Evansville. I don't know if I don't think that's crested yet. So again, a lot of areas still flooding and sandbagging, and just having a really rough time with it there as our rivers slowly recede. Areas across central Indiana in eastern Indiana have slowly began to recede, which is good news. But all that water travels south and east, or west rather, into the Ohio River Valley Basin or the Wabash Valley Basin as well. So again, it takes a long time for our water to drain. I know a lot of areas have been struggling to get rid of a lot of the water there. So here soon, that water will be out of here. And we do have a drier pattern coming up here too, so that'll help a little bit too. Few sporadic chances of rainfall here this week, but nothing to the same extent of what we saw last week. So that is great news, as we definitely don't need it. But we still have that one severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Posey County, Indiana, for another 15 minutes here. Again, our storm has not yet entered Indiana yet. The warning is in Indiana, but our storm is still in Illinois. Again, these storms are not moving fast at all, only between 25 and 30 miles an hour, is all the faster these storms are moving. So hopefully we see a weakening trend as the storm continues to enter Indiana. That would be some great news here if we are able to see that. But nonetheless, could have a damaging wind risk associated with it too. I switched radars here just to look at another hail product here. Burnt Prairie, Illinois. This is I-64 here. Could get in on some quarter-size hail there. Again, here's the Indiana state line. Right in here, here's New Harmony. Here's the storm that prompted the warning initially. It is weakened quite a bit. I don't see in the way of any severe hail associated with the storm anymore. Could have some gusty winds associated with it. In fact, let's turn on our velocity here. Just take a look at that to see what winds we have associated with it. Again, not a lot of winds with it at all. But we could have some gusty winds. You can kind of see a little bit of winds here with that line, and maybe some gusty winds associated with some of these showers as well. But again, nothing, I don't see any severe hail associated with this southern storm here approaching New Harmony, Indiana, which is good news. Could have some P's to nickels in there, but I don't see any quarters on the radar anymore. That could change. These updrafts are prone to re-intensifying, so we're going to have to keep an eye on them. But that's some good news there. We're going to have to watch the storm right behind it, though, running along I-64 near Mill Shoals. Could have some nickels, perhaps even a few quarters in there as well. But you can see how isolated these updrafts are. Yeah, there's a good look here. Yeah, likely some quarters here associated with that storm moving along I-64. And we'll have to watch the storm near Enfield, Illinois. Again, these storms back behind the initial storms that are popping up here, showing signs of intensification. Again, a decent hail core here showing up on radar near Burnt Prairie. In fact, let's go ahead and turn on correlation coefficient to see if we have a hail core on that now. And a little bit. We have a little bit of a hail core here. You can see those colors. I'll zoom in here. Right in there. Everywhere you see reds, those are raindrops. Anything that is of uniform size, like raindrops actually fall like pancakes in the air. A lot of times people think they're teardrops, but they actually fall as pancakes. And those pancakes in the air show up as red on correlation coefficient. But you have anything other than pancakes, if you have any hailstones in there, objects of different size that are bouncing around at different velocity or directions, that'll show up as different colors here. That's why we have some yellows and oranges starting to show up just south of Burnt Prairie, right where the blacks and pinks are here. That is our hailstones here. So probably have some quarters. If not, maybe a few larger stones even falling just south of Burnt Prairie. We'll have to see how that storm tracks as it enters Indiana. Again, a little ways off. These storms aren't traveling very fast, only 25 to 30 miles an hour east. So this updraft, there's a chance it may not sustain itself into Indiana. Those are things we're going to have to watch going forward. But a really decent hail core showing up on radar there. Back to our special weather statement. Again, not really seeing any hail greater than pea-sized hail associated with this anymore. Could have some gusty winds as these showers gust out. That'll be a hazard here with any thunderstorm here today across southern Indiana. Gusty winds. But our strongest storm right now is this storm here near Mill Shoals, Illinois, moving towards Indiana. But nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning for Posey County in effect for another 10 minutes here. Be really curious to see if they're going to trim this back to only include this storm here, as this is really the only severe thunderstorm that I see in the area at this point in time, according to radar. All the others have weakened well below severe criteria. Could have some small hail moving into the Mount Vernon area, perhaps some peas, with another stronger storm just south of Indiana near the Uniontown area in Morgansfield, Kentucky. Could have some pea-sized hail associated with that. Again, here's our hail core here moving right along I 64 in Illinois. So if you know anybody traveling on the highway here on I 64, just across the Indiana border in Illinois, um, let them know they could have some pea size hail, or not pea size hail, sorry, rather quarter size hail that they'll be driving into near the Mill Shoals area. So something to keep an eye on there. So again, severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect for another 9 minutes here for Posey County, Indiana. Quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard here. The storm that prompted the warning here, moving into the New Harmony area, is below severe criteria at this point in time. But it's the storm behind that we're going to have to watch here now, as it shows signs of a really mature hail core, and perhaps a microburst in there as well. Can't be ruled out. But again, quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds are the going hazards here. Go ahead and switch radars up here. Go ahead and go to, let's go to CC here. Yeah, there's your hail core. Well, that might be on the south side. That might be clear air. That's just clear air. Hail core right in here. Right in there is our hail core. Right there, just south of Burnt Prairie, running just south of I-64. But it could catch up to I-64 just to the west or east of Burnt Prairie, as the storm is moving more to the east. Could clip it right in here. Looks like I don't see any other towns right along here. But Centerville, Illinois, wouldn't be surprised to see some pretty large hailstones moving in your direction. Again, a really decent hail signature on radar now, with the strongest hail core just south of Burnt Prairie, moving towards the Centerville area. Wouldn't be surprised to see some larger than quarters in there, maybe approaching $1.25. Wouldn't be surprised to see that either, which is a $half size hail. Wouldn't be surprised to see that. Let me go ahead and turn on correlation coefficient here. Again, this is lagging behind here. That's clear air. But again, right in here, just outside of Centerville, where you see those deeper colors, that could be part of your hail core, associated with your blacks here. Your blacks is the highest it goes on reflectivity in terms of precipitation. Pinks and blacks are as deep as it gets. So again, extremely heavy rain associated with the storm. We're talking rainfall rates in excess of 1.5 inches an hour associated with this storm, as well as a hail core in there as well. Could have some anywhere between quarters and probably $1.25 is what I am seeing on radar here. So wouldn't be surprised to see some half-inch, or not half-inch, $half size hail associated with the storm as it approaches the Centerville, Illinois area. Again, our storm moving into the Mount Vernon area. Not severe at this point in time. We could have some small hail. Hail size seems to be intensifying as well. So you could have some nickel size hail moving towards the Mount Vernon area. Anywhere between dimes and nickels. Again, that's 0.75 to 0.88 is what we're looking at between penny and nickel size hail moving towards the Mount Vernon area. With the strongest storm right now near Mill Shoals, we do have a special weather statement still in effect for southern Indiana. This will be for Perry County and Southern Crawford County here in Southern Indiana, Leopold area, Leavenworth area as well, and Crawford County. But again, these storms have weakened below even special weather statement. When and this expires in 6 minutes, I can see them just letting that expire and letting that go. Is those storms have weakened? Did have some small hail and some gusty winds with those showers and thunderstorms a little bit ago. Strongest storms over here now. A very strong storm near Mill Shoals. Again, a very nice, healthy hail core associated with that. Anywhere between quarter size hail, maybe even approaching a buck 25 in there as well. So again, pretty decent storm there. And then a little bit further to the south here, near the Mount Vernon area, starting to get up on some hail core there. This is extreme southern Posey County. Doesn't get more southern Indiana than this. Um, this is as far south as you can go in Indiana. Could have a few hailstones in here approaching the Mount Vernon area here shortly. Again, pea-size hail up to maybe a few nickels. Can't be ruled out approaching Mount Vernon. If anybody lives in Mount Vernon who is watching here right now, let us know what you're seeing. I'd love to know what is going on right now. Let us know what hail size you are seeing here in the next few minutes. I would love to know what you see there. But again, a very pronounced hail core um, here right along I-64, just across the Indiana border in Illinois. And this storm here is showing signs of really decent intensification here near Mount Vernon. Um, Still sub severe at this point in time, but it may go warned if it keeps intensifying for quarter size hail and perhaps 50-mile-per-hour winds. We're going to have to keep an eye on this as it approaches Mount Vernon. Starting to see a pretty decent hail core here near Hovey, Indiana, right on the Ohio River here. Wabash is over here. Right along State Road 69 here, coming into Hovey, could have some pretty decent hail moving into town here, anywhere between peas, nickels. Probably right now, it's probably greater than pea-size hail. I'd have to say it's anywhere between dimes and nickels, or pennies and nickels, which is 0.75 to 0.88 is what I am seeing on radar. It could be a little bit larger than that as well. But this severe thunderstorm warning does expire in 3 minutes. We're going to have to see what the National Weather Service does, if they let this expire or if they rewarn it for this storm here, right along the I-64 corridor, which I wouldn't be surprised if they rewarn this for this storm here along and south of I-64 in Illinois. But these storms aren't moving very fast, only moving east at about 25 miles an hour. So they're slow movers today, which is going to make the heavy rainfall risk pretty high for some excessive ponding while you're in these heavier cores as well, thanks to our heavy rainfall rates and our slow storm movement. Could make for some heavy rain. But the good news is these storms are scattered in nature, which is going to help greatly reduce the flood risk associated with these. So that is some good news here across the region, as we definitely do not need any more flooding concerns across Indiana, as a lot of our rivers are still swollen at moderate and even major flood stages across the region, from the White River down to the Ohio River as well, or both forks of the White River. That is. And there's our severe thunderstorm warning now, including Mount Vernon. This is for the storm just to the south of Mount Vernon, and this one's going to move into Kentucky here pretty quickly here. But again, this is warned for the same thing: quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. This does include the town of Hovey, Indiana, and Oak Grove, Indiana as well. Oak Grove, likely not going to see any hail out of this storm. Likely going to go just off to your east by a couple of miles, not very far. We'll have to keep an eye on you pretty closely as it skirts right next to you here. This storm, let's see what the storm movement is on this. It's even slower, southeast at 20 miles an hour. So again, these storms are moving exceptionally slow, tediously slow here today, but could have some hail just south of Mount Vernon near the Hovey, Indiana area, getting ready to move into Kentucky. Traveling right along the State Road 69 area here between Hovey. If I zoom in here, it looks like Hovey's really the only town in the risk here besides Oak Grove and Uniontown, Kentucky here. Not very many towns here. Again, this is the zoom out here. You can't get any further in Indiana than this right here, as we are literally in the boot of Indiana. But again, quarter size hail, and they did warn it for 60-mile-an-hour winds there. And some of these stronger cores, a lot of cold air aloft, could bring some of that stronger winds down to the ground, and therefore giving us our damaging wind risk today associated with hail. The good news is no tornadoes are expected today, so that is good news. No tornadoes expected anywhere in Indiana today. Back up to the north here, they did let this warning expire, although I wouldn't be surprised to see some quarter-size hail in this cell here again, looking really healthy on radar, right along the I-64 corridor, moving towards the Grayville area, probably at 25 to 30 miles an hour. And there's our new warning. They did go ahead and reissue that. And this does include Posey County, Indiana, as well as Gibson County as well, just to the north. This storm is moving southeast at 15 miles an hour, so it slowed down a little bit too. But again, quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard for both of these severe thunderstorm warnings in Indiana. So Posey County, you have two different severe thunderstorm warnings. Don't let that confuse you. The first one is down here south of Mount Vernon. You can see the box here, how it stops just to the north of Mount Vernon. That's for this storm right in here with the one little lightning bolt in it. The storm near Hovey, this is going to move south and east into Kentucky over the next 10 minutes here. And this severe thunderstorm warning for the northern half of Posey County, including Gibson County as well, a sliver of Gibson County, could have some quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds for this storm right in here, outside of Mill Shoals, Illinois, moving east along I-64. Some lightning in there. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm. I can't stress that either. If you're driving anywhere, slow storm movements, torrential rainfall could have a risk for ponding and excessive runoff associated with this. Maybe an isolated flash flood risk as well. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail is the going hazard here with this storm. See what our velocities look like here. Yeah, very strong winds here. Approaching 60 miles per hour just south of Centerville on velocity. We see that brighter green here, that surge. Could have some strong winds there associated with that. And also some gusty winds up near the Mount Carmel area, West Salem. Sub-severe, but associated with this line. See how it's kind of bowed out there? It is kind of gusting out a little bit. Could have some stronger wind gusts in there as well. This is just clutter. This is higher up in the air. Right in here is where our strongest winds are, between Centerville and areas just south, moving into Crossville, Illinois. Gonna have to watch this for the New Harmony area over the next probably 10 to 20 minutes here as it approaches Indiana. Go ahead and turn on our correlation coefficient here. Look at the hail core here, and there you go. That's what we didn't see earlier. This is your hail core here. Look how long it is. This is all hail between just south of I-64 all the way down to north of Camry. Two separate hail cores here. So we have one right in here and one to the north. So one south of Centerville and one to the north. Right, we see the blacks are is where our concentrated hail cores are. So we have two hail cores with this storm here. Approaching hail, wouldn't be surprised to see some larger hailstones in here, larger than quarters. I would not be surprised to see that at all, especially given the returns that we're seeing on radar. Could have hailstones $1.25, could be about $half size hail, 50-cent piece is the diameter that we could be seeing there, and some of that as well. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is warned for quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few larger stones mixing in on that cell there. A little bit further south near the Mount Vernon area, severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for another 41 minutes here. That'd be for this storm right down in here, south of the Upton area, south of the State Road 62 corridor. And this is going to continue moving south into Kentucky over the next few minutes here. Storm motions aren't very fast, only moving at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So that could also increase our flooding potential across Indiana and heavier in any of our heavier thunderstorms. But again, quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour are the going hazards here for both of these warnings. This warning here to the south is just for southern Posey County only. I guess it does have a sliver of Vanderburgh County here, right in there. Let's see if they did include that in the warning. They did. So Vanderburgh County, so Evansville, technically you are in a severe thunderstorm warning. But again, Evansville, you guys aren't going to get anything from this storm here. This storm is going to be well off to your south and west. So your phones may have lit up for a severe thunderstorm warning, and this is why this is a sliver of the county which they included in the severe thunderstorm warning when the National Weather Service issues a warning. Therefore, it has prompted your phones to go off for that. And we do have a severe thunderstorm watch now that is issued. I'll try to get a graphic here pulled up for you guys here in a second. I'll get that pulled up here for you guys so you guys can see that. Give me 1 second here. Actually, I can do it on here. Let's see if it's loaded in. And it is loaded in. So severe thunderstorm watch included now for southwest lower Indiana. This does include counties Warwick County, Pike County, Gibson, Posey, and Vanderburgh counties here for another 5 hours and 54 minutes. Primary threats associated with this severe thunderstorm watch: scattered damaging wind gusts to 70 mile per hour likely. Scattered large hail to very large hail events to 2 inches in diameter are possible. Thunderstorms should gradually evolve east-southeast this afternoon. So again, severe thunderstorm watch is in effect here for another 5 hours and 53 minutes here, or roughly 6 hours here for southwest Indiana in areas in pink here. That is our severe thunderstorm watch. Again, that is for Posey, Vanderburgh, Warwick County, Pike County, and Gibson counties, as well as Spencer County in southern Indiana. So Spencer, Warwick, Vanderburgh, Posey, and Gibson all under severe thunderstorm watch for another 5 hours. Go ahead and turn that back off here. And pretty decent hail core on 2 of these cells here. The strongest being just south of Mount Vernon. A really pronounced, really potent hail core just south of Hobie. This is now moving into Kentucky. Just to the north here, we're still waiting on our severe storm to enter Indiana for northern Posey County, or perhaps southern Gibson County as well, right up here along I-64. Again, quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds are the going hazards here with these 2 warnings in effect in southern Indiana. Zooming out here, not a lot going on across the rest of the state here today. This is really where all the action is localized right now. Move around on different radars. Radar northern Indiana is out of service for maintenance at the moment. But again, nothing really showing up on radar near the Indianapolis, Bloomington, Columbus, or anything like that. Greatest risk, it would be south of Bloomington and Columbus, as far as southern Indiana. That's where the greatest risk for severe weather is today. We do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. The first one for this storm here, which is moving out of Indiana into Kentucky as we speak. Quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds. Didn't impact the area of Hobie, Indiana, right along State Road 69. In southern Indiana, extreme southern Indiana. With the next storm Moving into the Monee area, could have some small hail in there with our severe hail coming into the Crossville area in eastern Illinois, getting ready to approach the Indiana Illinois border here shortly. But again, severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for another 5 hours here for Posey, Vanderburgh, Warwick, Spencer, Pike, and Gibson counties in southern Indiana. A really potent hail core here that has maintained itself, approaching the New Harmony area, Rapture area, Griffin area, Continental Camp, and New Baltimore. If you guys live in this area, it wouldn't be a bad idea to put your cars in your garage. No one any dents on them. Could have some quarter-size hail approaching your direction near the Grayville area. Here in the next 10 to 20 minutes, could get some hailstones moving in your direction. So probably not a bad idea to put your cars in your garage and be ready for some small hail and even some damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Can't be ruled out in any of these storms. Again, microbursts are a risk here today in our thunderstorms. Microbursts is when some dry air mixes in aloft that allows the storm to pull down some of that cold, dense air aloft in the form of damaging winds and brings it down to the ground. 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible within those microbursts, and they're very difficult to detect. Radar can't always pick up a microburst on radar. They can be very sneaky and very dangerous and very hazardous. So again, take these warnings seriously. Plan on some hail and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Isolated stronger events are possible in any microburst that we do see. A couple of stronger cells just developed here to the north here. Just north of Posey County here. This would be for northern Gibson County as well as southern Knox County. South of Vincennes, a couple small hail cores up in here. Could have some peas, maybe some nickel-size hail for these two cells here. Again, really small, really isolated near the Decker, Hazleton, and Patoka areas. Patoka would be in Gibson County and Hazleton and Dixon as well, with Knox County just to the north here of Orville. Could have some small hail in there as well. And some other thunderstorms popping up here along the Ohio River. All of these have a risk for small to locally severe hail in this. Right now, our strongest storm, though, is still off to the west in Illinois. A lot of lightning associated with it coming into the Crossville area, Grayville area, New Harmony, Indiana. Again, heads up, could have some quarter-size hail, if not a few larger stones, as well as 60 mile per hour winds. Can't be ruled out here with these storms. Next, a couple stronger storms to take a look at here near the Princeton area. This is Gibson and Knox counties in southwest Indiana. Could have some peas and nickel-size hail associated with these two storms here. Can't be ruled out completely within these two right in here. A little bit over to the east here, have a couple of little sporadic sails, maybe some pea-size hail outside the St. Menard, Leopold area. Once again, could have some pea-size hail, heavy rainfall as well associated with these storms. But we have two severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. Both of them for Posey County. We have one for southern Posey County. The storm that prompted the warning for southern Posey County, this first warning here from Mount Vernon and points southward, that storm has now moved 100% into Illinois. Go a little bit north of Mount Vernon. We have a new box to talk about. That's our next severe thunderstorm warning to the north. We have two of them for Posey County, one to the south, one to the north. The north warning here, 60 mile per hour winds, quarter-size hail is in effect for another 30 minutes here. I guess they're both in effect for 31 minutes here. They issued them at the same time. All right. Strongest hail core just to the north of Carmi here, moving towards New Harmony, Grayland, or Grayville, rather. Could have some quarter-size hail, 60 mile per hour winds are possible with this storm here. So again, if you have any cars outside, now would be a good time to put them inside in your garage if you have that. If you're in Continental Camp, Griffin, or New Baltimore, could have some pretty decent hail moving in your direction here. And this is moving towards the New Baltimore area, Continental Camp, Griffin, and New Harmony, Indiana. Again, quarter size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds are the going hazard here. For the storm to the south, near the Mount Vernon area, once again, have some heavy rain moving in your direction. Subsevere at this point in time, but could have some pea-size hail associated with this cluster of rain and thunderstorms right in here, moving into western Posey County, Indiana. Good news is on the latest scan, hail core is weakened a little bit, but still could have some quarters and nickels within that storm as well. So good news to see that weaken just a little bit. We're going to have to watch these storms pretty closely. This is for Gibson County and southern Knox County, outside the Patoka area. These storms have my eye for a strengthening updraft. Going to have to keep an eye on these guys. P to nickel size hail right now. They did put a special weather statement on it for Knox County. We have two different weather offices here, so there could be a difference there. 40-mile-per-hour and half-inch hail associated with this storm here, and I expect this one to be not much different, really. So I would plan on 40 miles per hour and half-inch hail outside the Patoka area as well. Moving towards Mount Olympus, Wheeling, and Union. Be on alert for some half-inch size hail and gusty winds to 40 miles per hour. A couple of stronger showers and thunderstorms over here in the Leopold area, as well as Tell City, St. Menard. Could have some pea-size hail associated with these, but subsevere at this point in time. Our strongest storms are back over here across southwest Indiana. Strongest storm right now coming into the Crossville area, getting ready to approach New Harmony, Rapture, New Baltimore, Continental Camp, Griffin. Could have some quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard here with this. Strongest hail core just to the north of Crossville here. We see those reds, which correlates really well with our blacks and pinks here on our reflectivity. This is our radar. This is our updraft. Put two and two together. That's where your hail core is. Go ahead and play it out here. You can see we're kind of seeing a little bit of weakening trend here across the board. Our southern storm here has weakened a little bit. You can see those colors retreat back to a blue. That is good news. That is a weakening hail core. And we're also seeing that on the northern cell too. Not seeing as many blacks in the reflectivity, which is good. But also on the updraft, we're not seeing the whites and grays anymore. We're just back to red, which is good. That's quarters and nickels, maybe a little bit less than that. But that's good news. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see this re-intensify. However, this storm here has been intensifying over the last few minutes here near the Patoka area. No special weather statement on the Patoka one, but we do have one on the northern cell. Again, two different weather offices here, so they could have some different criteria. Winds in excess of 40 miles per hour, half-inch hail, 0.5 diameter. Is the going hazard here for this storm. Hazelton, Decker, you guys are on deck for some quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. But currently, two severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. The one that prompted the warning for far southern Posey County, which is this one right in here, has weakened a little bit from what I can tell below severe criteria, which is good news for that one. Still strong, nonetheless. We have another one that just popped up, which is this storm here. That's what we're seeing our reflectivity on. This is the one that originally prompted the warning, but now this one is showing signs of intensification. So we're going back to the popcorn analogy. Storms randomly popping up and intensifying before quickly weakening. That's the trend that we have here today. This one is no different. So again, Mount Vernon area. Wouldn't be surprised to see some nickels and quarters coming into town here pretty quickly. There, especially where you see the pinks and blacks here, could have a decent hail core associated with that. Javi, once again, probably seeing some hail there for you. Going just to the north here, this hail core has weakened a little bit, which is some really good news here with that. But nonetheless, could still have some strong winds associated with that. It is still warned for quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and does expire for another 25 minutes. Taking a look at velocity. You can see our gust front here. Right in here, we see the brighter colors. Here's your radar right in here. Here's your reflectivity. You can see that bend in the green there. That's your gust front associated with this. And no surprise it has a gust front. You can see this big bow echo here between New Harmony and points southward near the Grafton area. So between Grafton and New Harmony could have some damaging winds. The warning has it warned for 60 miles an hour. So perhaps some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds for you guys. Pretty decent snow down here near Mount Vernon. Could have some quarter-sized hail associated with that as well as this storm moves into town. But again, gusty winds coming into Indiana here along the I-64 corridor and points southward could have some gusty winds associated with these storms as well. So hail is not the only hazard here today. Quarter-size hail, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are the going hazards here today. Risk for significant, 70 plus, quite low, but could have some stronger winds associated with some of these. And here's our added special weather statement. This is for Gibson County as well. I guess Gibson and Pike counties. Sorry about that. Gibson and Pike, you guys have a special weather statement for 50 mile per hour winds and penny size hail. Is the going hazard here with this storm here. This is the one just north of Princeton, moving towards the Francisco area, Oakland City, Somerville, and Mackey area in southern Indiana. This does include Interstate 69 between mile markers 25 and 41, 50 mile per hour winds, penny size hail associated with this cell. The cell is currently in Gibson County, but it could slide a little bit to include a little bit of Pike County, but I think Pike County is going to be mostly in the clear for this storm here, as it's going to go just to the south. But we do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. You're going to have to watch this cell here near Tell City, Indiana. Could get a special weather statement on it for perhaps some penny size hail as well. You're going to have to keep a close eye on that one. Strongest storms right now is near the Mount Vernon area. Once again, have another storm. Quarter-size hail, 60 mile per hour winds associated with that. This storm has re-intensified. This is the one that prompted the warning that I'm circling here in Illinois. That one has weakened below severe criteria, but the cell on the north side has decided to get an attitude and form an updraft. So that is our risk for hail associated with that. So again, quarter-size hail, 60 mile per hour winds is the going hazard here with these storms. And they are kind of messy in appearance. Notice how they're not really organized. We don't really have a big line of storms like we've seen during the past few events. We don't have all the ingredients in place today to support widespread severe weather. This is what we call sporadic events, where storms will quickly intensify before they weaken and others will take their place. That's kind of what we mean by a messy environment. The storms are kind of messy. They're interacting with each other. They're getting in each other's way, stepping on their toes, stealing ingredients from each other. So it's a really messy environment for these storms, but there is enough ingredients in place for a few severe thunderstorms today. Back to our severe weather outlook here today briefly. Again, a margin risk is in place for all of southern Indiana. Bloomington does not include Columbus, Indiana, but points southward, Vincennes, Jasper, Corydon, and Evansville in a 1 out of 5 for these sporadic storms that could become severe with hail and damaging winds hail up to quarter size hail, and winds up to 60 miles per hour. Going back to radar here. Again, this storm here showing a decent hail core on it, just south and along State Road 65, just west of the Wheeling area and east of Patoka. You can go ahead and turn on our hail tracker here. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can see anything here on correlation coefficient. If it loads, not seeing a whole lot there, but there could be some hailstones mixed in with the heavy rain. They're just not being picked up by our correlation coefficient. Not surprising to see that when you get smaller hailstones, pennies to half-inch size hail. They don't often always show up on CC unless it's really heavy stuff. But our strongest hail cores right in here near the Mount Vernon area and a little bit coming into the north side of the New Harmony area. You can see the pinks there with this zone right in here in particular north of Phillipstown moving towards the New Baltimore area. Could get in on some heavy rain as well as some hail up to perhaps nickel, maybe some quarter size hail. Can't be ruled out in there as well. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for another 20 minutes. Quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds. And this is for Gibson and Posey counties in Indiana. We have severe thunderstorm warning for the southern half of Gibson County and does include the sliver of Vanderburgh County right in there. But right now, you guys aren't really at a big risk for Vanderburgh County. At this point in time, we have to see how this messy complex moves east for you guys. Here's a live look on I-64 outside the New Harmony area. Go ahead and click back on it here. Camera shaking a little bit, so having some gusty winds here associated with this storm here. This isn't a severe thunderstorm warning. Quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds. You can see visibility has dropped a little bit in these storms, but also look at the trees. Kind of hard to tell with the camera shaking, but you can see the trees swaying a little bit too. Winds maybe to 30 to 40 miles an hour in that picture. Maybe a little bit less, but perhaps gusting to 40 in this picture. So again, pretty heavy rainfall moving into this area of southern Indiana. You can see some gusty winds there, as well as some heavy rain. Zooming out here across the state, another cell we're watching here is near Tell City, near the Maxville area. Getting in on some heavy rain here, perhaps some small hail, up to penny-size hail, maybe a few larger stones. Can't be ruled out in this area as well. So wouldn't be surprised to see that there. But again, we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. This one for Gibson and Posey County, Indiana for another 18 minutes here. Quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds just to the south here near Mount Vernon. Quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds. This is for southern half of the Posey County and extreme southern Vanderburgh County. But again, right now, Vanderburgh County is not in the risk at this point in time. The box just kind of overlaps the thumb of the county there. So, but remain alert in Vanderburgh County as these storms progress eastward. They could bring a risk for you guys. It's just not quite there at this point in time. Very heavy rain here moving along I-64. Now look at that. This is very heavy rain and blowing rain as well. Pretty windy conditions here. You can see the waves of rain moving in here. This is in along I-64 near the Black River outside the New Harmony, Indiana area. See the semis traveling there at speed. Camera shaking quite a bit there. So again, some gusty winds. But notice all the water on the roadways. A lot of water getting kicked up by these vehicles here. So again, very heavy rain. Could have some small hail associated with this storm as well. So again, treat it with caution if you're out on the roadways. Poor visibility on the highways due to the heavy rain. And perhaps some small hail as well. Can't be ruled out. And that is for Posey County, Vanderburgh County, and southern Gibson County in Indiana for our severe thunderstorm warnings at this point in time. Bloomington, Indiana. Yeah, you guys are in the clear right now. I don't really expect much severe weather for you guys or points northward. The risk is mainly going to be for your south. Could have an isolated storm later today, but the greatest risk is further to your south. I don't expect much to happen around the Bloomington area here today. This will mainly be extreme southern Indiana. Still showing a decent hail core near the Princeton area, Patoka area. This is in the Gibson County or western Gibson County approaching Oakland City. Special weather statement does include Pike County in Indiana, but again, the strongest storm is off to the west in Gibson County. So Pike County being alert. Here's our severe thunderstorm warning. It is just for Gibson County. Quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So just as we were talking about that hail core, they went ahead and issued that severe thunderstorm warning. So that is 3 severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. This one goes for 45 minutes here. Storm moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. This is for eastern Gibson County, southwestern Indiana. Does not include Pike County, Indiana. Here's your hail core here. Going to be moving towards the Francisco area here shortly. Again, only moving at about 15 miles an hour. These storms are not moving very fast. These storms are moving very, very slowly. But nonetheless, are producing some hailstones up to quarter size in diameter here. So that is why we have our severe thunderstorm warnings. Could have some damaging winds locally to 60 miles an hour and some of the stronger cores as well. Mainly a microburst risk today, where we have that isolated downdraft pull those stronger winds down to the ground. Elsewhere across the region, not a whole lot going on here. North of Bloomington, Columbus, Indiana, and points northward. You guys are not in a risk for storms or severe weather today. It is mainly for southern Indiana. Another storm we're watching here near the Spencer Perry County, Indiana, near Tell City. Could have a couple small hailstones in there. Leopold, Maxville, Indiana, could have maybe some penny-sized hail in these 2 cores here. Couple other cells in Kentucky here, but they are sub-severe at this point in time. So that's some good news there. Back to our severe thunderstorm warnings here. Pretty strong hail core just south of Wheeling here. Again, this is where the strongest hail core is. Let's get a road name for you guys. Looks like, of course, I picked a road name that's funky. Carrithiers Road, perhaps. In Gibson County, just outside Princeton, east of Patoka and Wheeling, really splitting Wheeling and Patoka in Gibson County, moving southeast at 15 miles an hour towards Francisco, towards the State Road 64 corridor here in southern Indiana. Some hail outside the New Harmony, Indiana area. Could have some hail here up to still warned for quarters. So I'll have to watch for a few isolated quarter-inch hailstones here near the New Baltimore area, south of Griffin, moving towards Stewartsville and Rapture. This is your strongest core there with that. The majority of the storm, though, has weakened a little bit, which is some good news there associated with that. Near Mount Vernon, strong thunderstorm just to your south, with the strongest hail core in Kentucky now, near Uniontown, Smith Mills, Waverly, Kentucky. That has since moved out of Indiana, so that has some good news there as well. But again, our 2 strongest storms right now in Indiana, New Harmony, Indiana, and Princeton, Indiana, are our 2 strongest storms, followed by this storm here near Tell City. However, that's going to move into Perry County. It's moving into Perry County right now before it sneaks its way into Illinois. And the Leopold cell now starting to get a hail core on it as well. Could have some pennies in there. So would not be surprised to see some penny-sized hail, maybe some gusty winds between Tell City and Leopold, Indiana. So a lot of smaller storms to take a look at here today. But our severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect um, for Posey County, Indiana, Gibson County, the sliver of Gibson County. In fact, if you're in the boot of Gibson County, let's say Upper Hills, Grayville, you guys are in the clear. Right now, it's eastern Gibson County, Princeton, Patoka, Oakland City, Francisco. You guys are in a severe thunderstorm warning for another 41 minutes here. This is your hail core. Your greatest risk is going to go just to the east of Princeton, moving towards the Francisco area, only moving south at about 15 miles an hour, not moving very fast. So, three severe thunderstorm warnings are still in effect for Indiana, Gibson County and Posey County, as well as a sliver, and I do mean a sliver of Vanderburgh County. But again, Vanderburgh County, you guys are okay at this point in time. We're going to have to watch these storms surrounding you. So, Evansville, keep an eye on these to see how they trend your way. But right now, no immediate danger for Vanderburgh County, even though this warning does have the boot of Vanderburgh County, and I mean a sliver under that severe thunderstorm warning. But again, not a huge risk for Vanderburgh at this point in time, which is good news. But the strongest storm right now in Indiana is up here in Gibson County. So that's where I'm going to have my focus on right now as we focus on this storm here. Hail core right here in black associated with that. Let's go ahead and turn on our correlation coefficient here to see if we can see that hail core. Maybe a little bit of spatter right there, right in there perhaps. But nothing too significant there. But nonetheless, could have some hailstones in there. Go ahead and turn up our VIL here, but this is going to head towards the Douglas and Francisco area here, probably in the next 10 minutes. Could have some damaging winds, 60 mile per hour, and quarter-size hail. Have to see how this storm trends here over the next few minutes. And we do have special weather statement now for, I believe, Perry County, Indiana. Maybe a little bit of Spencer County. Nope, doesn't look like it. Just Perry County, Indiana. Let's see what they half-inch size hail, 50 mile per hour winds. So again, a little bit larger than penny size hail. This is the next step up. Could have some half-inch size, or sorry, step below penny size hail rather. So this is like peas, dimes, half-inch size hail, somewhere in that vicinity is what we look at here between Tell City and Leopold, and 50 mile per hour winds. So we could have some gusty winds associated with that as well. Our two severe thunderstorm warnings. Right in here still, again, our hail core that prompted the warning near Poseyville has weakened quite a bit. I don't really think in the way of severe thunderstorm criteria hail being met there. Let's go ahead and switch products here to take a look at it. I don't really see a hail core in there either. Let's go ahead and change to our... Nope, that's classic. I don't want classic. I don't even know why classic's even an option on this radar. Yeah, this is sub-severe at this point in time. Maybe some gusty winds, pea-sized hail for Poseyville, but not a risk for severe weather at this point in time at all. Could have some gusty winds, though. Can't be ruled out. Further to south, though, this has moved into Kentucky. State line right in here. Uniontown, Corydon, Kentucky. Could have some hail in there. Again, strongest storm in Indiana at this point in time is this storm right in here. Right in here where you see the reds and even pinks moving towards the Francisco area. Quarter size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds going hazard here. This is for Gibson County. Only moving southeast and not very fast, only 15 miles an hour. And this is really the only severe thunderstorm in Indiana at this point in time. We do have some warnings lingering for Posey County, Indiana, but the storms which prompted the warnings have fallen below severe criteria. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service go ahead and cancel those. And they canceled one of them. We do have a special weather statement now for Poseyville, Indiana, Armstrong, Highland, and Evansville. So Vanderburgh County, Posey County, and Gibson County all under the special weather statement here. And this is for penny-sized hail and gusty winds of 50 to 55. So again, these storms are below severe criteria, but are producing damaging winds, or gusty winds rather. They can be strong at times. Could produce enough winds to perhaps blow some loose objects around, trash cans, etc. So do keep that in mind. Even though 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds are not in severe criteria, those winds are strong enough to blow trash cans around, blow some sticks around, trampolines, loose objects that air can get underneath and loft those. So if you have any of those patio furniture, cushions, etc., strap those down, get them inside. If you're in far southwest Indiana, Posey County, Vanderburgh, and Gibson counties right now under a special weather statement. The thunderstorms that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning for Gibson and Vanderburgh County, or sorry, Gibson, not Gibson, Posey County, are now subsevere or into Kentucky. So that is some good news there. We do have a new special weather statement still in effect. This is for, I believe, Perry County, Indiana only. Penny-sized hail, 50-mile-per-hour winds going hazard here for these storms here. Or half-inch hail, rather, a little bit below penny-sized hail. So one severe thunderstorm warning still in effect. We have the sliver of Posey County for severe thunderstorm warning, but the greatest hail core is south of the border here. So they'll likely let this one expire here, which does expire in 3 minutes. They're going to let that one expire. They have a new warning in effect for another half an hour. Though this does include southern Vanderburgh County. Vanderburgh County is largely in the clear from this severe thunderstorm warning, as the storm itself is south of Vanderburgh County. So do keep that in mind if you do see a severe thunderstorm warning come across your phones in Vanderburgh County. The severe thunderstorm is south of the border. Our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state at this point in time, Gibson County, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds going hazard here. These storms are moving south at about 15 to 20 miles an hour, heading towards the Francisco area, State Road 64. Nikki asks, coming in late, is there tornadoes today? Madison County, no. The answer is no. No tornadoes anywhere in Indiana today. The risk for a tornado today in Indiana is extremely low. We don't have all the ingredients needed for tornadoes today, which is great news. I don't think any of us are going to complain about that after seeing as many tornadoes as we've seen here recently. Really, the environment today is conducive for hail and damaging winds. Could have some damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour in microburst form. Microburst meaning intense downburst. As these storms gust out, they could have some gusty winds to 60 miles an hour, perhaps maybe 70 miles an hour winds associated with that. Hail is the largest risk here today. Up to quarter size, maybe a few instances, and maybe a few larger stones, maybe around a $1.25, which would be your 50-cent piece size hail. That's kind of what we're looking at, $half size hail. But the overall tornado risk is extremely low anywhere in the region today. We just don't have the ingredients needed for that, which is good news. I don't expect to see any tornado warnings today anywhere in the vicinity of Indiana. If we do, it would be termed a one-off event, meaning almost like a mesoscale accident, like a couple outflow boundaries came together, low-level spin, therefore justifying that. But the chances of that are pretty low. I wouldn't worry about it too much today. So good news there. But the bad news, we do still have a risk for severe weather today in far southern Indiana. Think Bloomington and points southward. That's where the risk is today. Mainly for hail and damaging winds is the only risk. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for southwest lower Indiana. It is included for Posey County, Vanderburgh County, Warwick County, Spencer, Pike, and Gibson counties in southern Indiana. So do keep that in mind. The Storm Prediction Center had enough confidence, along with the National Weather Service in Paducah, that they went ahead and included their forecasting area in that severe thunderstorm watch for southern Indiana. Strongest storm right now, moving towards the Francisco area, just to the east, Patoka, Princeton, and Oakland City, coming into the Francisco area. Oh, here pretty soon. Another thing to talk about here with these storms is the heavy rainfall associated with them. Though isolated in nature, the storm motions are not fast, only moving east southeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's very slow. When you have rainfall rates in excess of an inch an hour in some of the cores, that can promote a lot of heavy rainfall. Our soils are saturated. Doesn't take much to reinstate ponding in southern Indiana. So that's a risk here we have today with these thunderstorms. Could have some heavy rain that could promote some flash flooding and ponding in some of our heavier thunderstorms, especially Posey County, Indiana. These storms have really been persistent here for about the last hour, and they haven't really moved that much. Seeing some heavy rain here as well. But the good news is these storms are on their way out. We'll have to watch these storms in Illinois to see how they bubble up. But these storms will be sporadic in nature today. Widespread severe weather, not expected today. Really, the setup is for these sporadic storms. They pop up, they do their thing, they fizzle out, and another storm takes its place. That's kind of the setup that we have here today. Think like your thunderstorm, your summertime pop-up thunderstorms. That's what we have here today, just with a little bit more extra ingredients in place to promote some hail. And that's because we have a lot of cold air aloft. An area of low pressure is moving into the Ohio River Valley here this afternoon. As it does so, you go up about 12 to 20,000 feet. Our air temperatures are around minus 25. They're very, very cold. But at the surface, we're in the 60s and 70s, a little bit colder where the rain is now. Obviously, we're probably cooled us down into the 50s, but especially where you had some hail. Doesn't take long to cool the air down. But again, the thermodynamics between the surface temperatures and the air temperatures aloft have created our instability. And because of that cold air aloft, that's why we have a hail risk today, as well as a risk for damaging winds associated with microbursts as well. We have some dry air aloft that can mix in with some of these thunderstorm cores and bring some of that rain cooled air down to the ground in the form of a downburst and termed a microburst. And that can actually cause quite a bit of damage. Microbursts are known to be very sneaky events. Radar doesn't always pick them up. So again, treat these thunderstorm warnings seriously. Could have some damaging winds in there. Microbursts are isolated in nature as well. Your neighbor's house may see 60-mile-per-hour winds and your house does not. That's how isolated these events can be when talking about microbursts. So 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, main risk today in southern Indiana for a brief synopsis. And hail core just now starting to get on the edges of Francisco. I know we've been talking about Francisco now for about 30 minutes, but it's taken that long for the storm to go about 10 miles because it's moving so slow. Only about 15 miles an hour. So it's not very fast. We don't have a lot of wind shear in place today to really kick these storms out and get them out of the area. So they're really just prone to meandering around until they die out, fizzle out, or eventually move out. There's enough wind aloft to keep them moving in the same direction, but not a lot to really kick them out very fast. So, but we're down to 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in the state. One for southern Posey County as well as Vanderburgh County. But again, if you're in southern Indiana with this warning here, again, extreme southern Vanderburgh County and Posey County, you guys are in the clear right now. All storms have moved out of the area. Special weather statement is in effect for Posey, Vanderburgh, and Gibson County here between Poseyville, right along I-64 between Cynthiana, looks like Nisbet, St. James. Could get in on some maybe some pea-size hail and some heavy rain here associated with this. And even some gusty winds up to 50 miles an hour. 50-55 in penny-size hail is what this area in blue is shaded for. Strongest storm right now for Gibson County, outside of Oakland City, Francisco, quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds associated with that. Strongest portion of the storm, right in here we see the reds, just due north of San Francisco, and this may slide just to the east of Francisco just a little bit for the strongest core, but again, could have some hail and damaging winds for you guys as well. So again, be in your safe place for this as well, moving towards the Oakland City area as well, and Somerville if it holds together. Elsewhere across the state, we do have a strong thunderstorm in Perry County, Indiana still, just to the south of Leopold, showing some signs of some hail, penny-size hail, or I guess half-inch size hail, 50-mile-per-hour winds associated with this thunderstorm here right around State Road 37 in Perry County, Indiana. Go ahead and switch radars here. I want to try something here. Here's our hail cores here. You see the one near Leopold and Perry County. Strongest hail core just south of town. Going back up here near Francisco here in Oakland City. Strongest hail core shifted to the east just a little bit. Right in there we see the pinks there. Just north of Francisco. Going to slide just to your east more than likely. But could get on the tail end of the hail core here. Could see some quarter-size hail as well. Just to the south, pea-size hail, more than likely for Hubstat, Armstrong as well as some gusty winds. So let's go ahead and look at our winds here to see what they're doing. See a little bit of a gust front here, perhaps. Kind of hard to tell. Really messy. Could have maybe even an outflow boundary here a little bit too. Hard to tell. Let us know what you're seeing if you guys are in this area watching. Let us know. Let us know what's going on where you guys are at. Always love to hear your reports and love talking to you guys. So let us know what you're seeing. But could have some gusty winds here. Moving into Francisco, see some brighter colors here on the outside. Could have some stronger winds mixing in as well. But again, widespread severe weather not expected today. But we do have some sporadic storms that are capable of briefly becoming severe. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the hazard here today. And this storm's here looking pretty healthy here south of Leopold. I'm going to have to watch that for future intensification here to see what that storm does, to see if the hail size increases with that or not. But if you're in southern Indiana, let's say Perry County, you guys are in the clear. Not clear for the rest of the night. We'll have to see if any storms redevelop. Again, being scattered in nature, we could see some redevelopment later on. But Evansville could have some pea-size hail moving into town for you. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. Associated with this blip right in here, going just south of town here. I'm gonna skirt into Kentucky and back into Vanderburgh County here along I-69. Could have some small hailstones in there, maybe some pea-size hail associated with that. Another storm to look at, this would be moving into the Sullivan County area. Could have maybe some small hail just south of Robbinston, Palestine, Illinois areas. Moving towards the Wabash River. This is going to move towards State Road 58, Richwoods, Illinois, and Carlisle, Indiana, right around US 41 here. Could have some small hail, maybe some penny-size hail moving into Sullivan County associated with this storm here. So something to keep an eye on over the next few minutes here. Got a new special weather statement now for Boonville, Indiana. 50 to 55 mile per hour winds associated with these showers here. So as these storms are gusting out, it doesn't look impressive on radar, but they are mixing down some strong winds. That is why the National Weather Service went ahead and issued a special weather statement for 50 to 55. That is just below severe criteria. Severe criteria is 58 miles an hour, and we can expect winds up to 55. So again, very close to severe criteria, but not quite there. Go back on radar here. You can zoom in. So this is what I wasn't sure about. But the National Weather Service has went ahead and put a special weather statement on it. You can see your boundary here. Actually, it's along an outflow boundary and even a lightning bolt, a stray lightning bolt. This is what we call a bolt out of the blue, not associated with a thunderstorm, but just out of nowhere, associated with this outflow boundary here. This outflow boundary is rain-cooled air, which is being pushed ahead out of these storms, which are producing some gusty winds, quite strong winds. Actually, right in here from the McKinney area, Eberfield area, or Mackey area, rather. Sorry about that. Somerville, Linville, Spurgeon, Boonville could have some strong winds, 50 to 55, even a few isolated gusts stronger than that. I didn't talk about it a few minutes ago as I wasn't sure if that was clutter or not. I was getting a better read on the radar here, but it attaches all the way up to this storm here. And you can kind of see that boundary on radar as well. So again, pretty strong winds here with the brightest winds in pink here near the Elberfield area moving towards Linville, 50 to 55 mile per hour winds associated with that. That is why we have that extended special weather statement for winds that are just below severe criteria but are strong and can cause loose objects to blow around. And we do have a tornado warning now in effect for Indiana. Not impossible, but this is kind of a one-off event here. Maybe right in here near Princeton. This is thanks to a couple outflow boundaries. A little bit ago, I said that, really the only way we're going to see this is if we see outflow boundaries coming together, enhancing that low-level spin, and that is what we have here. This is a short-lived event. I don't expect this to be a long-track tornado or anything like that. But we do have a little bit of rotation here in southern Indiana, right here near the Princeton area. This is where our area of rotation is. It's very shallow, thanks to a couple outflow boundaries coming together. Right in here, it has moved here, just south of the Princeton area here. Tornado warning now in effect. Go ahead and turn correlation coefficient on. Actually, we might have a tornado on the ground here, guys. Radar indicated tornado, but I don't like this. Possible tornado on the ground. Treat it as if it's on the ground. We may have a spin-up tornado on the ground here in southern Indiana. This is just Indiana being Indiana. I know I said there's no tornado risk in Indiana. It's probably because I said that is why we're seeing a tornado. But nonetheless, possible tornado on the ground in southern Indiana. Again, TDS here on radar, which stands for tornado debris signature. That's what we see here in blue. Go ahead and switch back here. This is our storm here of interest. This is for, go ahead and read this here. This is for, still eastern Gibson County, does not include counties to the west yet. That's what I wasn't sure about. And go ahead and turn on our correlation coefficient here. Again, possible tornado on the ground right in here. Go ahead and press play, and we'll watch this here. A little bit of clutter, but really hard to tell. Next scan should tell us all the difference if there's one on the ground or not. But again, really shallow area of rotation, and this is largely because of cell mergers, outflow boundaries, different boundaries of rain-cooled air come together, and where they meet, you can have eddies develop on the surface, and that can enhance your wind shear at the mesoscale, just above the ground at the surface. We don't have a lot of wind shear aloft to promote tornadoes today in Indiana. This is really the only way we were going to see it today if a couple of those outflow boundaries came together and what we call merging. If we had that merging take place, that can enhance low-level vorticity and help these tornadoes form. But again, widespread tornadoes aren't expected today. This is kind of a one-off event here. But again, tornado warning in effect here for Gibson County for another 45 minutes here. Area of rotation right in here. This is just south of the State Road 64 corridor here. Moving towards just southeast of Princeton here, right along State Road 64 just south of the Francisco area here. This is our area of rotation right in here. Here's 64. This is just on the south side of the road. Again, possible tornado here. This could be debris being lofted here. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up our 4-panel look here at this to really get a full examine here of this storm here. Let's circle our area of rotation. There's our debris, or possible debris. I'll say possible. I can't confirm it yet. A little bit of a hole there on ZDR where you see those grays. There's a couple pixels there of gray. So again, likely a possible rain raft tornado on the ground here in southern Indiana. A very shallow area of rotation here. But again, tornado, possible tornado on the ground just south of 64. Could easily cross 64 here, just west of Francisco in Gibson County, Indiana, just south of Princeton County. This is East Gibson County. For those of you curious here, this is Gibson County between Princeton, Indiana, and Francisco, Indiana. Tornado warning in effect for another 40 minutes here. I don't have any cameras in the area. Otherwise, I would pull them up. I would have them pulled up here for you. But again, possible TDS, possible tornado on the ground here, which does match pretty well. In that area of rotation has broadened out here in the last scan, which is good. I lost what I thought to have been possible debris on radar. Not seeing that anymore. But again, treat this as if it's still there. This rotation is so shallow because it's driven by what we call merging. When outflow boundaries come together and they merge, different storms come together, you have different air movements. They're moving at different direction. You get wind being pushed out of the storm one way, and then another storm air is being pushed out another way. Where those two air masses collide, you can get a little bit of vorticity, and that can spin up a tornado. It happens. It's kind of a mesoscale accident when it happens. It's not forecastable. We couldn't forecast this event today, but it has happened. But again, this is kind of an accident that we have here in Indiana, what we call a mesoscale accident, where though we don't have the ingredients for tornadoes today, they can still happen. And this is a really good example of why that could still happen. And that is largely because when you have outflow boundaries, which is rain cold air, moving outside of these thunderstorms in different directions as these storms merge, that can create surface vorticity at the surface. And that's what we saw here, where those two outflow boundaries collided, created a little bit of spin. You have that convergence and divergence of the air masses, and where those meet, you get that little spin up. Erica says, what side of Princeton? This will be on the southeast side of Princeton, 64, just south of Douglas or west of Douglas here. Where's the area of rotation that was seen? Go ahead and zoom back in here. A little bit of rotation, maybe right in here, just south of 64 or what's left of it. Go ahead and press play here and I'll show you guys. See a little bit of it. It starts right up here. You're going to have to look closely. It is so shallow. It is so hard to see. It's not a real big pronounced supercell. In fact, it's hard to call this a supercell just because it really is a mesoscale accident. But area of rotation right in here, just south of 64, moving south and east. Again, possible tornadoes still on the ground. You know, there is a little bit of suspicion there where the rotation was last seen right in here. So again, there is still rays of concern for something that may still be on the ground. It's hard to tell if there is something on the ground here or not. Radar is kind of messy right here. But nonetheless, it is still possible that we do have something on the ground. When rotation is just shallow, it's hard for radar to get the full picture. This is why storm spotters are really important in this type of situation to say, hey, there is something on the ground, or no, there is nothing on the ground at this point in time. That's something I wish I could tell you. But unfortunately, I can't tell you that at this point in time, other than rotation was strong enough for the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning. And kudos to the National Weather Service for picking that out of this messy situation. Pat on the back for MWS Paducah for picking that out. Again, a very small, shallow rooted area of rotation that they were able to pick out and get that warning issued. So again, a big shout out to the National Weather Service in Paducah for issuing that. Again, possible TDS, can't confirm. Our updraft has weakened a little bit there in that cell, but again, rotation is so shallow. I don't like using radar fully in this situation because it doesn't give the full picture. What's happening is radar is below the picture here. They did trim back the warning here. They did have remained it as radar indicated rotation here, which is good. Not seeing a significant amount of rotation, but the strongest area would be right in here. This would be our area of interest. So you can see a little bit of a hook here. Go ahead and do one line at a time here. Here's your zoom out here. Here's our hook here. It's kind of messy. You can see a little bit of a hook right in here. You have air coming in this way and air coming in this way. And right in there, you see that little bit of hole. That would be where our area of interest is at this point in time, which you can see some weak rotation right in there. This is going to go just south of 64. Likely cross 64, just stayed on the south side of the highway here in southern Indiana. This is Gibson County. I'm going to miss Francisco. Area of rotation is just off to your west, only by a few miles, but it is moving south away from Francisco, so that is some good news. Latest scan here just came in on velocity, really broad here, so that is good news there for that warning. But nonetheless, treat it as if there is still something there. Go ahead and change velocity products back on this radar. Again, not really seeing a whole lot here. But that's good news. Hopefully it continues to weaken here. I didn't expect it to last super long. This was thanks to cell mergers where we have two different storms putting off two different outflow boundaries. Those outflow boundaries playing off each other. You have air moving at different speeds at the surface. When those airs meet, you have a frictional force there. Where you have wind speeds at different speeds and velocities, perhaps maybe different directions at the surface, that can create some low-level spins. That can also create a little bit of vorticity there at the surface. Almost a land spout situation, really, is what we were seeing there. If something did touch down there, I'll be very interested to know if the National Weather Service would confirm that as a land spout or a tornado, just because we don't have the environment today for tornadoes. That was kind of a mesoscale accident. Wasn't supposed to happen. It just happened anyway. Just Indiana being Indiana, why not go for 44 tornadoes for the year? We're at 43. Why not make it 44, right? Well, hopefully nothing did touch down there. Did have a possible debris signature on radar there briefly, but it was really hard to tell. Again, areas rotation here, so shallow rooted. But right now the rotation has weakened. But nonetheless, tornado warning, radar indicated rotation here. At 4:03 p.m., severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Princeton, moving southeast at 20 miles per hour. Radar indicated rotation. Areas, other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Somerville, Mackay, and Francisco. Again, strongest area of rotation just to the west of Francisco, moving just south of it here. Right in this area where my cursor is if there is anything left, maybe right in here near the Douglas area, maybe a little bit further south, right in here just south of Douglas. See a little bit of a hook still on radar, a little bit, but again, this rotation is so shallow, it's hard for the radar to pick up. But again, this is our strongest storm in the state of Indiana at this point in time. Elsewhere, special weather statements have taken over. We do have to watch this storm here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Illinois, approaching Sullivan County, Indiana, as well as northern Knox County. But again, special weather statement for you guys. Back down to our storm of interest here. our tornado warning. And bear with me, I'm switching products here just to see which one shows it better here. This is kind of a 4-panel look here. We use a variety of products here, and this gives us a depiction of what's going on in terms of our reflectivity, our rainfall, our updraft or ZDR, which is in the lower right-hand corner, and our wind speed. That is in the top right-hand corner for velocity, and then our correlation coefficient in the top left. That's where we see debris. If any debris is getting lofted, that's where we would see it. When you put all those things together, not really seeing a whole lot here coming together, but maybe a little bit of a hook here. You can still kind of see on radar just south of Francisco, but not really seeing too much in the way of rotation. It's very broad, if anything, at this point in time, which is good. That's what we want to see. But nonetheless, when rotation is this shallow, doesn't take much for something to touch down. So again, be in your safe place, lowest level of your home, interior room away from windows, bathrooms, great ideas. And this is for Gibson County, Indiana. Mackey, Somerville, again, interior room away from windows. This storm is approaching your area. Again, if tornado is on the ground, it's likely rain wrapped. You're not going to see it. This rotation is so shallow, radar is even having a hard time picking it up because of how shallow it is. So again, interior room away from windows, possible tornado or even a land spout possible here across Gibson County, Indiana. And they have canceled the tornado warning. That is good news. We are down to a severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see if they put tornado possible on it. They did not. So they canceled it entirely there. So no tornado warning is in effect for Indiana anymore. We'll have to watch that closely. But I don't expect really any tornadoes across Indiana today. I know I said that already, and here we saw a tornado warning. That's what I call a mesoscale accident. That was not supposed to happen. That was a result of a couple outflow boundaries coming together, a couple storms interacting with each other, enhancing low-level vorticity at the surface. Thanks to those outflow boundaries coming off those storms interacting with each other, cause a little bit of spin, and stuff happens. You know, it's not impossible for to get tornadoes, even when the tornado risk is not present in Indiana. You know, stuff can still happen, and that was a prime example there. So even if a risk is not mentioned, it's not impossible. Stuff can happen. And so that is Indiana being Indiana right there. But again, severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for another 3 minutes here for Gibson County. Let's go ahead and turn our hail tracker back on here. I know we were focused on tornadoes there for a minute. Let's go back to hail tracker here. A little bit of hail south of Oakland City here in this core here. The storm kind of split a little bit, split and merged. When you have those cell mergers, that kind of help prompted our tornado warning a little bit there too. We had some different movements of air currents at the surface, outflow boundaries. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for 48 minutes here. They do have a tornado possible tag on it. So they discontinued the tornado warning, but they left a tornado possible tag on it just as a precaution here with this thunderstorm. This is for Warwick County, Vanderburgh County, Spencer County, far northeastern Vanderburgh County. So Evansville, you're not in the path of this thing. This is for southeastern Gibson County and as well as Pike County in Indiana. You are added to this severe thunderstorm warning as well. Severe thunderstorm warning is located near Oakland City, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. Remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into a basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. So they have worded this as if a tornado is still possible within the storm, even though it's not exhibiting signs of intense rotation at this time. Again, cell mergers can be tricky, especially when rotation is very shallow. I can't pronounce the word. When rotation is very shallow in the atmosphere, tornadoes can spin up quickly without warning and often make it very difficult for radar to see. So again, interior room, away from windows. Cell mergers are notorious for being funny like that. They can produce isolated spin-up tornadoes. So again, if you're near the Oakland City area, Spurgeon area, Pikeville, Velpen, Stendal, Winslow, again, interior room, lowest level of your home, be prepared for this storm just in case
A brief tornado does spin up as a result of these cell mergers here. Could have a brief spin up here, or even a land spout can't be ruled out either associated with this storm. But again, this was thanks to what's called a cell merger, where these two cells here merged, they kind of nudged together, interacted with each other. They put off separate outflow boundaries, more than likely, and those two boundaries interacted with each other, and that can enhance low level vorticity at the surface. And that's what gave us our tornado warning there briefly in southern Indiana. So that was just something that was unpredictable. No one saw that coming, including myself. So that was kind of a mesoscale accident, as it's called, an atmospheric oopsie is what that was. Just pure happenstance that those ingredients happen to align like that in southern Indiana. But again, widespread tornadoes are not expected today in Indiana. So that's some good news across the state of Indiana today. That was kind of an accident. But again, special weather statements blanket southern Indiana here momentarily. Having sporadic reports here of some damage that may have occurred near the Princeton area. Unconfirmed reports at this point in time. That would have been back in this area here. So we could have had something on the ground here. I just can't confirm it at this point in time. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This does include the Ferdinand area. Go ahead and read it here. National Weather Service in Louisville. So again, we're changing CWAs here. We're changing forecasting area. At 5:15 p.m., severe thunderstorm was located near Dale, moving east at 40 miles an hour. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. So the winds are what has prompted this severe thunderstorm warning for southern Indiana. And this does include the Ferdinand area, as well as the St. Menard area as well. We'll have to see if we get a warning filling in here. Again, we have two different National Weather Service offices working in this portion of Indiana. Three, actually. We have Indianapolis, Louisville, and Paducah. All these offices come together in this portion of Indiana. Jasper, Indiana, I believe you guys are Louisville, but you go just a little bit further north. It's Indianapolis working the area up in this area here. So three different offices working together here on this messy event here today. So kudos to the men and women of the radar operators of the National Weather Service here today, working this all out here today. Switch radar products here back to velocity here. I'm gonna have to watch this storm here in the back. Still kind of has a little bit of a hook on it here. See how it does one of these. Broadens out here a little bit. I'm gonna have to watch some areas here pretty closely here. No signs of strong rotation or anything like that at this point in time. We're gonna have to watch those little kinks here as these outflow boundaries continue to merge and interact with each other. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that. But again, pretty strong gust front here on the leading edge here. You can really see that here where the brighter colors are. Again, brighter to the south, but we're also further away from the radar, so the stronger winds are aloft, a couple thousand feet above the ground, but we could have some stronger wind gusts mixing in towards the surface as well. So something to keep an eye on as well. Back to our other radar product here. 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana at this point in time. But we do have a lot of special weather statements. Areas in blue here take up the majority of southwest lower Indiana. These are for storms that are subsevere. We got one up here near the Pike and Sullivan County areas, or Knox and Sullivan County areas here. This one in effect for 25 minutes here. 40-mile-per-hour winds, half-inch hail, so subsevere with that. And let's see what the one for Washington, Indiana, same thing. This is moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. So these storms are slow movers here today. But again, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect here for Indiana. Mainly a wind threat right now associated with these as these storms gust out across southern Indiana. And as we lose the daylight later this afternoon, we'll lose our daytime heating component too. So that'll kind of help tame these storms down a little bit as we move into the evening hours and lose our daylight. That'll help quite a bit. I'm just messaging our team here in the background. Did have some possible reports of some damage earlier near the Princeton area or just outside of town. If you guys are in the Princeton area or watching from that area, let us know what you saw. If you guys have any damage, let us know in the comments. That'd be great to know. I'm hearing mixed reports about some possible damage around the Princeton area. We did have a tornado warning in place there briefly with a possible debris signature for a few minutes. So I'm not sure if something briefly touched down there, maybe a land spout or perhaps a weak tornado. We did have rotation on radar, so technically that would be a tornado. But let us know. Let us know what you saw there. I can't confirm it, but I'd be curious to know what you guys saw there in that area here. Again, severe thunderstorm warning now issued between Owensboro, and Ferdinand, Indiana. 60-mile-per-hour winds here is the only hazard here. Could have some small hail mixed in here as well. But again, damaging winds, primary risk as these storms gust out. So plan on damaging winds to 60 miles per hour along the gust front. But we do still have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, or technically 3, in the state of Indiana. This one up here to the north, 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-size hail is in effect for southern Du Bois County and northwestern Perry County in central Indiana. Go just to the south here. This one is in effect for Warwick County, Spencer, and Davis County, or I guess Spencer and Warwick County in Indiana, Davis County in Kentucky. Go a little bit to the west here. We have Gibson, Warwick County, Vanderburgh County, Spencer, and Pike County. Tornado possible on that warning still. as that storm has the history of having some broad rotation in it as well. So special weather statements in blue, severe thunderstorm warnings in orange. Special weather statement for Washington. Have to watch this kind of closely here, kind of showing a few different updrafts here. We have one near Wheatland, and then one just south of Bicknell there, with the strongest near Wheatland there, showing perhaps maybe some penny-size hail. There near Wheatland along US 50, moving towards the Washington area there in southwest Indiana. Does not include the Lagodi area, but again, have to watch for perhaps some strong winds there and some small hail as it moves into that vicinity.
What's up, Caleb?
Hey, how's it going, Ryan?
Goes well. I'm just getting settled in here, so give me a few, and I can give you a break here to go do what you got to do for a few if you need to.
Nope, all good.
Just let me get settled in here.
Yeah, and we are watching a kind of a messy complex of showers and thunderstorms, mainly across southwest lower Indiana. Special weather statements in blue, which are storms that are strong, but they're not quite meeting their criteria for severe weather. Severe thunderstorm warnings are issued in our orange boxes here. Gibson County here, 60 mph. They did take the tornado possible tag off of that warning, so that is good news. No longer showing signs of any rotation within that. Go a little bit further south here. This severe thunderstorm warning for the Ferdinand area is for Du Bois County and Perry County. 60 mph winds moving east at 40 miles an hour. Go a little bit to the south here, and that is for the Warwick County in southwestern Indiana and Spencer County in southwestern Indiana. 60 mph wind gusts is the only hazard with this storm here. Switch radar products here. You can kind of see our gust front here that we're talking about here. Kind of have a couple different gust fronts here associated with this storm here. Kind of draw a line here. I'll show you guys here. Right in here is one gust front, and then right in here is the other gust front. Right along the Ohio River here is one, and then our next one coming into the Ferdinand area, Santa Claus, Indiana, Huntingburg, Indiana, and maybe Jasper, Indiana. But right now the strongest winds are to your south and to your northwest near the Petersburg area there. Could have some strong winds there associated with that. Maybe some gusty winds near the Washington area and Wheatland area, Monroe City area as well. All along these line of storms could have some gusty winds and some small hail possible all within them. But the good news is, as we go throughout the evening hours here and we start losing our daylight, that's going to help lose the intensity of some of these storms as well. But something else to talk about here is the flood risk associated with these. As these storms continue to get more messy, as in they kind of merge together, we have a lot of rain developing here across southern Indiana. Heavy rainfall rates, slow storm movements will bring some renewed ponding and flooding as our soils are saturated. Doesn't take a lot to have renewed ponding here across southern Indiana. Again, we've seen a lot of rain. Some areas near a foot of rain over the last 2 weeks. So that's a significant amount of rainfall. Our rivers are swollen. Many area rivers are still in moderate to major flood stage in this area. So any heavy rain is just going to be a hindrance on that. So again, do watch for high water ponding across southern Indiana in any of these heavy thunderstorms here this evening. Again, a lot of area rivers are still swollen.
Go ahead and pop out, Caleb. I think Chandler wants you to call him, so go ahead and get that done and take a break if you need to. I can get it from here.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and take over operations here. So I was watching, I was posting updates behind the scenes here, so I know what's going on. We had a brief tornado that did touch down on the east side of Princeton, just south of State Route 24 there. And there is damage reported via a train spotter to the National Weather Service. And the National Weather Service went ahead and relayed that over to broadcast media. Report says large limbs down 1/2 mile east of downtown square in Princeton, Highway 64. Possible damage from a tornado is what the source is stating out of the Princeton area. So these storms were not supposed to produce tornadoes today, and they did. That is because we have certain interactions that happen with these storms that can sometimes get, brief spin ups here to occur. It's not very often they happen, but it's not impossible. The wind shear today is quite weak in nature. So overall, we're not expecting too much in the way of anything more tornadic, but you never can rule it out with severe storms. Current severe warnings in effect: we have Pike County, we have southern DuBois, we have northwestern Perry, most all of Spencer, northern Warwick, and then eastern. What is this county? Gibson, eastern Gibson. So this is going to be a pocket of heavier winds here over the Dale, Tennyson, Christney, heading toward Lamar, Maxville, and New Boston areas. This is going to be moving to the southeast here today. That's what our storm motions are doing. Go ahead and switch it over here to our reflectivity product there. So you're seeing some heavier pockets there. We did have some purples and pinks, magentas in there. Those have since kind of weakened, so that's good news. Doesn't look to be a big hail threat anymore with the current activity going on in southern Indiana. We could have some hail up here, not currently warned, heading toward the Washington area along 50 and 69 here. It's going to be over Wheatland, Maysville, Thomas, and Sandy Hook. That could be some hail, but no warning on that one, at least not at this point in time, which is good news. Majority of these warnings down here are for 60 mile per hour winds as they used to drift off to the east southeast. A couple questions in chat here. I'm not sure if Caleb got to these. Do they think they will die by North Vernon? North Vernon, you are technically in the risk today. It's not a very high risk, but later on this evening, there is a possibility of a pop-up shower or storm that could go severe. Overall chance today is quite low across southern Indiana. So far, we've had numerous reports of sub-severe wind and sub-severe hail. So widespread severe is not likely today, but there is a chance we could get a pop-up storm that may drop, a couple large hailstones, perhaps some brief gusty winds up there. So don't let your guard down, but the overall chance is low. Warwick County, you are in a severe warning for the northern half of the county currently. That's going to include places like Linville, Selvin, Tennyson. You guys all have in that warning there for 60 mile per hour winds. After this line goes through, I would not expect there to be much in the way of anything past this. But out ahead from Bloomington, basically Bloomington south, you've got some pop-up storms that attempt to go severe. Guys, that questions, feel free to drop them in chat here. We got a couple warnings in effect, but nothing overall on the radar looks overly concerning. I mean, there's a pocket there of some gustier winds over Dale, Lamar, State Route 62 there, Lincoln City, Gentryville. That general area could be seeing some gustier winds, but overall, there's not seeing much in the way of anything significant happening. We can make out there's a gust front here that is kind of traversing its way to the east-southeast. When you see that brighter red reflectivity, that's your gust front pushing to the east. So that could be bringing some gustier winds, 40 to 50 miles per hour. But otherwise, that is all I see currently. Go and flip back over here to the radar product here. I'm not really seeing too much of anything that pops out at you. This storm right here by Washington does pop just a bit, just because of the hail there, the purples. Let's go ahead and switch on our hail tracker here just to get an idea. We could see some larger hailstones here about to cross over. Looks like this is I assume the river. Yeah, that's the river there, heading toward Wheatland and Washington areas. So if you're on Highway 69 or Highway 50 there, you may have some larger hailstones moving your direction with this storm. This is going to be up in the southern Davies, northern Pike, northwestern Dubois County area. Radar is indicating hail with that particular storm is going to be right just under an inch. So it's getting close to severe criteria. I would not be shocked to see another yellow box pop up there by Washington for some larger hail. Let's check on the winds up there as well. I knew we had a gust front that kind of extended up there. And yeah, we do. We could get some heavier winds there as well. Looking on radar here, 40, 50, 55 there. Now remember, severe is 58 or higher. So there on radar, we're seeing just under severe limits in terms of wind. So it's close. It could be enough for them to warrant the trigger on a warning there for winds and hail, but nothing in effect currently at that particular location. We'll have to keep an eye on that. All the warnings in effect here are for 60-mile-per-hour winds. The one south into Kentucky is for quarters and 60, quarter-sized hail and 60 miles per hour, but nothing in Indiana currently is warned for severe hail. Current time is 5:35 p.m. Eastern, 4:35 p.m. Central. I'm Ryan here alongside Caleb. Caleb is out taking a brief break here. He was live for over 2 hours here covering these storms by himself. So I'm giving him a break here and going to jump on and kind of fill in the role or just take a little bit of break there. So if you guys have questions, feel free to pop them in chat. I will answer those as I see them pop in. You're more than welcome to interact with us. We love questions as long as there's not much going on out here, which currently I don't see much besides some heavier winds. But otherwise, yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to pop those in chat. I'm an open book here. I'll go ahead and take a zoomed out look here and just kind of animate the radar here while we kind of wait for another update. These storms appear to be kind of merging and collapsing on themselves. And part of the reason I think why we saw that brief tornado earlier was mainly because I think we had a few cell mergers kind of interact, like two cells kind of merge together to make one cell. When that happens in this type of environment, we can get some vorticity, some spin to happen, which is why you see some mesoscale accidents happen with tornadoes that aren't supposed to happen. On days like today, it's not impossible to see that sort of thing happen. So when two cells merge, that kind of indicated that we could have some spin there, and that's exactly what happened, I believe, in the Princeton area. Watching this, we're going to call it a gust front here. I'll put the wind velocities back on their screen. They're brighter reds, and especially where you see these like tannish yellow colors. That's your wind that's up above 60, or at least close to it. 58 or higher is what is that color indicates. So in those locations, because we could be seeing some gusts up to around 60 miles per hour here. A couple pixels there in the Dale area, Lincoln City area, 60 to 67. So these warnings for 60 are very well justified from the Weather Service here. Again, counties underneath warnings, there's going to be Pike, Dubois, Spencer, Warwick, and Davies County, as well as, I believe that's Kentucky. Never mind. I was about to say a county in. Oh, hold on. That's not Davis, is it? That is Davis. There's a Davies County, Kentucky, and Davies County, Indiana. So Davies County, Kentucky is under that warning, but Davies County, Indiana is not. I will say, though, up here in southern Davies County, we do have a pocket of heavier winds here over the Iva area, Comeback, Glendale, Hudsonville, Waco. That general area up to about 50 or so miles per hour winds on the border of Daviess and Dubois counties. So that is an area in Dubois or in Daviess County in Indiana that could be seeing some gustier winds. But the only warning that I saw for Daviess is down here in the Owensboro area. That is also known as Daviess County. Don't want to confuse that. So Indiana counties, Spencer, Perry, Dubois, Pike, and Warwick counties have the warnings. So far, we've had no new warnings get issued here in the state of Indiana, and that is a trend we hope to continue here. With all these storms here kind of looping back on let's go 21 frame here. We've been seeing a weakening trend as far as the reflectivity goes. We had some brighter reds and purples and pinks there. That kind of since evolved into a more subtle yellowish orange and maybe some reds mixed in, which is good news. We have weakening trends going on. But the bad news is there's still some gustier winds happening as storms collapse in themselves. They can kind of push outflow winds all around the storm. That can be severe in nature if there's enough downdraft instability in the atmosphere. So we could still have some gustier winds occurring even in weaker storms. They won't last very long, but they can still occur. I'm very intrigued by this Washington storm up here. We're going to call it the Washington storm. A lot of purples in there indicating hail core, could be quite potent in nature. And the latest hail tracker there does indicate we have some brighter areas of hail just north of Wheatland heading toward the Washington area. So that's going to be an area to watch here in the next couple of minutes. No warning on that, but there is a statement in effect that expires in 5 minutes. The statement is for winds in excess of 40 miles per hour, as well as, let's say, pea-size hail or nickel-size hail, as well as half-inch hail. So it's going to be dime size. Let's go ahead and check the wind on this storm as well. We cannot forget the wind is moving out of that statement into the northern Dubois County and then southwestern Martin County area. This is going to be heading more so toward Hayesville, South Martin. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. I don't see any other Portersville. I don't see anything else besides Ireland and Jasper. Some heavier winds coming your way. No warning. I think these winds are going to be sub-severe in nature, meaning sub is below. So it shouldn't be severe, but still, we're getting close. We're having 50 or so mile per hour winds with this particular storm. And that could indicate, again, we could have winds close, but not quite reaching severe criteria. But this storm does have a very potent updraft. In fact, if I switch the updraft tracker on, we're going to call it ZDR or differential reflectivity. It's a very fancy tool we can use to kind of track a storm's strength in terms of the updraft. We're going to see there's actually not much in the way of any hot red or orange colors with this cell. So that's a good news at least. But overall, I do think that this storm does have potential for some gustier winds, maybe some dime or nickel size hail. We have a radar indicating hail around 1 inch down here just south of Ferdinand. Let's go ahead and check the hail tracker on that as well as our CC product. Let's go ahead and check the hail tracker on that. Not much showing up there, which is good news at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of a stronger cell just to the south in Perry County, south of the Leopold area, State Road 37. Have a bit of a strengthening updraft there. Still below severe criteria in hail, Ryan, but maybe some dimes or nickels can't be ruled out down there in Perry County.
Okay. I think the biggest concern for hail is going to be the cell that's not currently warned heading toward Washington. I think that's going to
Yep.
be the biggest concern. They just put out a large statement here in blue. It's going to be wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour and penny-size hail. Places included Cannelberg, Montgomery, West Boggs Lake, Alfredsville, Glendale, Fishery, Washington, Bicknell, and Plainville. Counties included in that would just be Southern DuBois, I believe. Yes, Southern DuBois County. Actually, no, hold on. This is gonna be Davies and Davies County. Apologies. DuBois is the one below that, near Jasper. So this is gonna be Davies County. No new warnings yet at this point, Caleb. I will say the cell near Ferdinand is really fired up the past couple of scans.
Yeah, there's a new
very,
severe
very
thunderstorm
fast.
warning for that now.
And now it's actually $half size hail with that one. Not surprising. We just got done talking about the radar indicating hail up over an inch there. That's going to be for Crawford, DuBois, and Perry County. And that's going to be for $half size hail and 60 mile per hour winds.
A lot of cold air up in the upper parts and mid levels of the atmosphere here today for these storms to work with. That's what's driving a lot of our instability today. Not necessarily a cold front, but rather an upper level low moving through the Ohio River Valley today. But with that upper level low comes a lot of cold air, not at the surface, but aloft. Go up a couple thousand feet, but think 10 to 12,000 feet plus. Our temperatures are well below zero. That is combined with temperatures near 60s and 70s near the Ohio River. That temperature difference giving us our instability today and allows the hail risk to develop as these storms tap into those very cold temperatures aloft. So that is why we have a lot of hail in these storms here today, ranging from Ps now to $1.25, so $half size hail. Now, just south of the St. Menard area, coming near the State Road 145 corridor, Sassafras down to Bristow could have $1.25 headed in your direction here. Approaching county line here, just south of Ferdinand between Siberia, St. Menard, approaching State Road 145 here, just to the north of Huffman, coming towards the Bristow area, Sassafras area, State Road 145 here, could have, and that would be in Perry County, Indiana, is what the storm is moving into. Could have some pretty decent hail associated with it. Let's go ahead and turn on what we call correlation coefficient here. We don't only use this to look for debris from tornadoes, but we also use it to look for hail cores in these thunderstorms. Maybe a little bit here near Fulda, but this is a little bit behind here. We'll have to see this little patch of color depiction here move. Everything that shows up as raindrops shows up as pink or white here on correlation coefficient. Raindrops fall as pancakes in the atmosphere. They're flat. The radar shows pancakes being as red and a little bit purple here. But anything that's not pancakes, golf balls, anything that's bounced around in the atmosphere shows up here in greens, yellows, and even blues, even as you get deeper colors. So that's something that we're going to have to watch for hailstones. And even some gusty winds here, Ryan, showing up on velocity here near the Perry County line here, right along St. Menard, New Boston. Could have some gusty winds here associated with this thunderstorm as well. So a pretty potent thunderstorm that has developed here moving into Perry County, Indiana.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
south of Ferdinand.
Looking on radar here, I'm still getting roughly 50 to 55 at most. There are some pixels in there of close to 60, but they're pretty isolated in nature. So maybe getting close to severe limits here in terms of our wind, but overall, I think it's more of a hail risk at this point. And some gusty winds. I'm trying to find some of those pictures from Princeton. We had a report of damage from NWS via train spotter in that area. So if you guys do have reports of damage from these storms, anywhere really in southern Indiana, but especially in the Princeton area, feel free to say so in chat here or drop a comment or a message to one of the pages. That would be appreciated.
Yeah, that could be wind reports, hail reports, damage reports, anything that you guys are seeing. Let us know. You guys are our eyes on the ground. We love having that confirmation compared to what we see on radar. Radar can get you close, but eyes on the ground get you there 100%. So let us know what you guys are seeing. We did have that one tornado warning earlier for Gibson County, Indiana. That was kind of an accident in terms of the atmosphere today. What we call a mesoscale accident. A couple storms interacting with each other close by put off what's known as an outflow boundary. A couple outflow boundaries, which is rain, cold air moving out away from the thunderstorm. Those two boundaries interacted with each other as those storms were in close proximity with each other. And as those different moving air masses interacted, created a little bit of spin at the surface, and that kind of prompted our tornado warning. And we saw that rotation on radar as well. It was very shallow, but nonetheless, it was there. So even when we don't have a tornado risk issued for Indiana, I guess it can still happen, as we saw earlier today. I don't think anyone was expecting it today, but it happened. It's what we call just a happenstance, or Indiana being Indiana. We can go either way, but hopefully there wasn't too much damage with that, if there was anything on the ground. Had some damage reports, but unfortunately, I can't confirm if there was anything there or not at this time. If there was something on the ground, that would, I believe, make I think that would make us 44 for the year. So pretty crazy.
I
Really
have
decent.
a,
Go
I have
ahead,
a
Ryan.
video here from the Gibson County Sheriff's Office. There is heavy damage in a neighborhood. There's a video posted to their Facebook page. I'm not going to share it. I'll share it to the pages. But there is pretty substantial damage from the Gibson or from the Princeton area.
That is good to know. Thank you, Ryan. And with that, our strongest storm right now moving into Perry County, Indiana. This is along and south the I-64 corridor, south of Ferdinand, Siberia, south of St. Menard, getting in some very heavy rain, but also some significant, really decent hail here coming into the Bristow area, State Road 145, Ranger area, Terry, Leopold, Branchville, on deck for $50 size hail. This is 50-cent pieces in diameter. Just shy of ping pong ball size hail. That'd be 1.50 inch. This is a $1.25, so still pretty large nonetheless. This will pretty efficiently put a dent in your car. So if you guys have any cars out in the area, Leopold, Branchville, go ahead and put them in a garage. Put them in that safe place to protect them from the hail if you can. Could have some pretty decent hail here, as well as some gusty winds. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few sporadic wind gusts in here. Getting close to 55, 60. But widespread winds are not the main hazard here. It would be the hail associated with this. But nonetheless, could still have some gusty winds with that as well. Go ahead and check on our hail tracker here. Correlation coefficient. We'll get a look at that. Look at a hail core here. There's your hail core right here near Falda. A little bit behind here. This is probably right here on the Perry County line here, moving towards Bristow. That's where that would fall in line from. But that little depiction right in here. This is where your hail core would be. That's called a hail spike. That would be moving through Falda. Falda, you've already seen the hail. In fact, Bristow, you're probably starting to see it now. This is just a little bit behind here. Our hail tracker correlation usually takes a few minutes to catch up on radar, so that's just lagging behind just a little bit there. But probably seeing some pretty decent hail there moving in, at least quarters, maybe a few larger stones, up to $50 size hail possible there for the Bristow area. Just to the south of Sassafras, Adaville as well, just to the south of you guys, St. Menard, just north of Huffman. Huffman probably right on the edge of the hail core, probably seeing a few hailstones in Huffman with the heaviest of the hail just to your north, and even getting into the Ranger area. Kind of see a split updraft here starting to form, so could have some hail starting to develop near Ranger, moving towards Terry, Leopold, Brandon, Branchville, just to the south of Sassafras. Sassafras could see some hail, with the strongest hail right now being just to your south. But that could shift north or south. These storms aren't moving very fast. They could develop further north or south. So do keep that in mind if you're anywhere in this severe thunderstorm warning. Back up to the north here, a special weather statement near the Washington area. That hail core has weakened a little bit on our updraft tool here, but nonetheless could still have some small hail, perhaps maybe some penny-size hail just north of Washington, moving State Roads 57 towards I-69 towards Epsom, and Washington just to the north of Cannelberg. Outside Knox County, moving into, I believe that would be Davis County, Indiana, is what this is moving into. Strongest cell right now moving into Perry County, Indiana. Solely Perry County, Indiana.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at the Louisville radar, it switched my velocity from Evansville to Louisville radar. Pocket of 50 to 55, if not close to 60, moving in toward Leopold right now. It's about to cross what appears to be State Route 37, if not on top of you guys right now. So Bandon, Terry, Leopold, Mount Pleasant, there in Perry County, Indiana, immediate impact zones from that wind. Yep. If you switch your radar, Caleb, to Louisville, you're going to see the brighter velocities are being picked up there. Also, it's about 3,000 feet off the ground, so it's much lower than Evansville radar.
Yep, right. And here's what Ryan's talking about here, stretching from the Gatchel area, Terry, Brandon up to Sassafras and Uniontown here. You see that bowed out gust front there. And with the strongest core now shifting to the south, heading towards Leopold, right in here where you see the blacks here. This is our new updraft taking over near the Ranger area, probably getting some decent hail there. So if you have anybody watching in chat from the Ranger area, Leopold area, or even St. Menard area, let us know what you're seeing. That's not St. Menard, that's Minrad. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. I've been saying Menard all night. I apologize if I offended anybody. I just realized the lightning bolt is right next to the letters and I read it wrong. Anyway.
It happens.
Mainrad, perhaps? Again, and plan on some pretty strong winds, but also when you have strong winds and quarter-size hail, you get wind-driven hail damage. That can cause quite a bit of damage to siding, cars, trees, etc. So do be prepared for that. If you are in Perry County, Indiana, especially the southern half, central and southern Perry County in Indiana, especially south of I-64. St. Croix, Uniontown, and areas south have the greatest risk for hail and damaging winds at this point in time. This is our strongest storm in Indiana at the moment.
I am up here, Seminary area in Oak and Princeton. I need everybody to stay at home. Do not come out here. Sorry, my arms are not big enough. So
that is
right
the video
now
you're
we're
hearing
here
on Caleb's
in
microphone
Seminary.
there. That's the
I'm walking
Gibson
from Pine towards Oak.
County Sheriff's Office, walking through the damage area. I was going to see if I can pull a video up here to show it on the video or on stream here. I'm going to share my screen. This is from the Princeton area, Gibson County Sheriff's Office here on their Facebook page. I'll leave it at that. Just kind of walk through the area there, but that's again from the Princeton area via the Gibson County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. Both of those videos have been shared to our accounts on Facebook.
And possible tornado there. It'll get later assessed by the National Weather Service here over the next couple of days. We'll know what caused that, whether it was a bad microburst or perhaps a tornado. We'll know more in the coming days. Back to our severe thunderstorm warning here in southern Indiana. This is primarily for Posey County, Indiana. This does include Leopold, Indiana. Right now, getting some pretty heavy precipitation moving into town. Perhaps some decent hail too. Crawford County, you are included in the warning for just the nudge of Crawford County, but the strongest portion of the storm may go for southern Crawford County, the Alton area perhaps. But right now, southern Perry County, central and southern Perry County right now getting the heaviest of this storm between the Leopold area, I think State Road 70, 37, Leopold, Branchville getting some pretty heavy stuff right now. Gusty winds and pretty strong winds coming into the Leopold area right now. And this warning is also warned for $half size hail, which is 1.25 inches in diameter, which is just smaller than ping pong ball size hail, which is a 1/4 inch larger than that. So again, hailstones fairly large, enough to do some dents in your car. It could dent your siding, crack windows, especially when you get some wind driving behind that hail and giving it its forward momentum that can increase the damage the hail is able to produce here in Perry County, Indiana, near the Leopold area as well. Let's turn on our hail tracker here. Here's our brightest wind velocity here. Some decent winds here, gusting out, moving into the Dexter area, State Road 66 corridor. Let's turn on our hail tracker here, our vertical integrated liquid here again. Here's our hail core. Whoa. Here's our hail core right in here. A little bit behind here, but pretty close. I do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that just got extended here. But this hail core is going to move right into the Leopold area. This is where our heaviest hail core will be. Quarters, perhaps a few larger hailstones in there as well. New severe thunderstorm warning has been reduced. 1/4 size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is for Harrison County, Crawford County, Perry County, and Meade County in Kentucky. Indiana counties, Harrison, Crawford, and Perry. And this is for 44 minutes here. Southern Harrison County at that. And this is Meade County right in here. And we have Crawford and Perry. Zooming out here, we have a couple special weather statements, or I guess one special weather statement less in the state here. This is for Davis County, Indiana, as well as extreme eastern Knox County, Indiana. 50-mile-per-hour winds, penny-size hail associated with this storm. In Davis County, Indiana. Switch radars here. We'll look at that one. Not seeing a lot of hail. A little bit of hail just north of Washington, approaching 69. But again, sub-severe at this point in time. Could have some pennies in there, but nothing too significant. Gusty winds is probably the biggest risk with that storm there. Here further south, near the Leopold area, severe thunderstorm warning, 1/4 size hail, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds, all possible with this storm here. This warning has been included for Harrison County as well as Crawford County in southern Indiana. So again, Harrison County, including Corydon, Indiana, State Road 135, Crawford County, including Leavenworth area, with the strongest storm just to the south here near the Leopold area. But some gusty winds do extend north of the hail core associated with this thunderstorm.
Caleb, I was just going to say here, looking at the current radar, there's a couple storms popping up there across the south central Indiana area, south of Bloomington, south of Columbus, moving in toward The Seymour, North Vernon area, moving southeast toward Madison, Salem, Vienna, Bedford, Brownstown. Have to watch those, but otherwise, what's happening further west here is just mostly rain. I don't really see too much to be anything concerned about, besides one that's currently warned here on the Kentucky border. So we'll watch what's happening further north, but at the current moment, not really seeing too much in the way of anything concerning outside of what's happening.
That's another thing these storms are helping do. They also help stabilize the atmosphere as well. So that's another thing these storms are helping with, is that stabilization component behind these storms. The atmosphere is stabilized a little bit. Could still have some pop-up thunderstorms here for the remainder of the evening, including the Evansville area. Could have some come in out of Illinois yet tonight still. However, the strongest storms right now are the storms out ahead of the batch of rain that just moved through the Evansville area. Again, strongest one right now in Perry County, getting ready to glaze the southern end or graze the southern end of Crawford County, and potentially moving into Harrison County as well. Think Corydon, Indiana, State Road 135, and points southward. Brandenburg, Kentucky, Meade County, Kentucky, right in here. Could have quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, all possible with this storm here. All right, with that being said here, guys, Joel and Ryan are actually going to take you the rest of the way here tonight. I need to get some things done here behind the scenes. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to these two. You guys are in great hands here the rest of the night. So I will turn it over to them. Thanks for sticking with us here. Hopefully we do not see any more tornado warnings for the rest of the night. Hopefully that was our one and done. But if we do, Ryan and Joel will take you through that and through the rest of the night.
Thank you, Caleb. Get over here, Mr. Fritzma.
How do I get over there? It's not letting me. There we go.
You are loud.
Good.
Any bad weather for Fort Wayne? The answer would be no. Not tonight. You are all clear up there. The only concern is going to be southern Indiana. If you're south of Bloomington, that's essentially what we're concerned about. So no concerns up in Fort Wayne tonight. Currently one severe storm out there with a few warnings on it. One storm has 3 different boxes for it, which is kind of weird, but the main one is going to be moving, this storm right here, moving into southern Leopold area, as well as going to cross the Ohio River pretty soon into Kentucky. So perhaps not our concern for too much longer. But we do have additional cells firing up to the north of this cell, up here toward Bedford and Seymour areas. I have to watch that one near Bedford. That one's kind of taken off. Got a nice little hail core on it now, barely moving too. Is there a boundary there? I bet you there's a boundary.
I was gonna mention this, Ryan. There's a boatload of outflow boundaries getting kicked off from all these storms today. So I would not be surprised if there's couple cells that regenerate off of that. Again, those outflow boundaries add as extra lift on days like today. So you have a lot of those popcorn showers that pop up, and they could become severe given the enough instability is out there this afternoon for portions of southern Indiana.
Keep an eye on that and see what they do. The Bedford cell looks probably the closest, but it's still not quite there. Let's go back further south here. This storm is just starting to cross over into Kentucky. Very slowly. The radar speed here, the radar scans are roughly 2 minutes apart. So it's meandering slowly into Kentucky, but for the time being, Leopold, Dexter, Derby, State Route 70 here. The largest of the hail likely going to be about to cross over State Route 66 here, just to the west of Dexter, just to the east of Leopold, up here by Bandon, back through Terry. Where you see the purples on your screen or darker reds, that's going to be your hail core. Turn on the hail tracker. It's a little bit laggy. But we can see the largest hail there is moving with the hail core toward Leopold and eventually Dexter. As far as the winds go, we're not seeing too much in the way of damaging winds as a big concern here. I will say this latest scan does pick up the intensity just a bit, seeing 50 or so miles per hour on this particular cell. Otherwise, that's borderline severe, but not quite there according to radar.
And again, it's still got a little bit of time until he gets to the New Albany, Louisville region metro. So if you know anybody that's in this portion of the state downstream from this, again, we don't know if this warning is actually going to stay severe this entire time, given that it is borderline at 50 to 60 mile per hour. But it's good to give a heads up. So if you know anybody in the area, feel free to shout them a message in their direction. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is currently in effect for portions of Harrison and Crawford County here in southern Indiana. And we'll be heading towards Floyd County, southern Floyd County, which is basically outskirts of Louisville there in northern Kentucky. Also have some converging down in Kentucky. You also have some converging boundaries there too. So it's not just a north thing, it's a south thing as well today in terms of popcorn showers.
Keep the focus for right now down in this cell. I don't think we're going to be severe with this cell too much longer in the state of Indiana, but I will say I do think we're going to have potential for more cells this evening, as Joel mentioned a few minutes ago. All those pop-up type of showers. My head is cut off. Some pop-up showers there across the southern part of the state where the instability is highest. So see if I can't switch my background here so my head's not cut off. Let's go no background. We'll run with that.
It's okay. I don't have a green screen behind me, so it's just guessing right now.
It might be my lighting too. If I turn it up, I bet you it makes a difference.
Yeah. What you're looking at for those who are just tuning in, perhaps, what you're looking at radar right now is a very heavy thunderstorm, strong thunderstorm, if you will, in portions of Barry County in southern Indiana, not Barry County, Michigan. Barry County, Indiana here as we approach the 6:15 Eastern, 5:15 Central time here on this Thursday evening. Where you see the pinks and reds on Ryan's radar is going to be your heavier rain and perhaps even some hail. If you switch it over to CC, Ryan, you can usually depict that, or VIL, either one. VIL is picking up a little bit better right now, but I've noticed it's going down a little bit, as is the winds.
Yeah, so have I. The VIL is kind of weakened out there. I'm looking at GR2 above my head here. I'll go ahead and flip the screen. Actually, I'll flip over to you. You already have GR2 pulled up. So go ahead and run that VIL loop back, the left side of your screen. You can kind of see the brighter colors. It kind of expands and it kind of shrinks. That's really good news here. It means the storm updraft is dying on itself or collapsing. So that is a good sign here. But as that collapses, we could still get some gusty winds via a downburst or a microburst. So some severe winds could be occurring in the storm or about to occur in the storm with that updraft that appears to be collapsing.
Yeah, I also have ZDR. Flip over to ZDR product here. This is the radar we use to measure updraft versus downdraft strength. So when we're looking for, there's a lot of radars that we use here, but for this one, this is for updraft versus downdraft strength. We're looking for colors that are going to be a lot warmer, so yellows through reds. That's how you can tell that the clouds are building up faster than they're collapsing on themselves. If you see greens and blues, that's usually indicative of a stronger downdraft than an updraft. So right now, it's kind of on that borderline between the greens and yellows. So Just a storm that's kind of staying suspended in the air and soon to be raining itself out. You can also kind of tell where the boundaries are at, Ryan. You can see how the boundaries have a little bit of that extra lift on there. They're very red hot, and some cells are actually firing off of these boundaries as well. If we switch over to our rain radar, yep, there they are.
Yep.
Right over Corden in Harrison County. So it's cool to see all the products doing what they're supposed to do here on this.
I will
ahead.
say, Joel, we have a new statement for that Bedford and Guthrie cell.
Mhm.
They're saying 40-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail, so not quite severe with that one, but it's starting to grow there up by Bedford. Been live here going on 3 hours now, so welcome to our coverage of Indiana severe weather. Continual warnings in effect here for the southern part of Indiana, and that's not going to stop, at least right now. It may have a brief pause here momentarily as the storm exits into Kentucky. There's a brief pause here. In fact, they just dropped the warning, most of the warning here for what appears to be Perry County.
Sorry, I said Barry, didn't I? It's Perry.
Yeah, it's Perry.
My bad. The P was covered up by the orange outline. Yeah.
It was for me too. I will also say with the Bedford cell now, looking on the Louisville radar, you can see there is a downburst occurring with that storm. So likely gusty winds here for Heltonville, Erie, Avoca, and Guthrie, and perhaps Bartlettsville and Bedford areas, especially northern Bedford. A little bit of a weaker signature there, but it is a higher radar beam, so it's not going to get really bright or really close to the ground. But could still see some gustier winds there in the northern Lawrence County area.
Still waiting for my special weather statements to pop up. So GR2 is a little bit of a slower product in terms of special weather statements. They get updated every 5 minutes, so I have to wait until probably 6:20, which is unfortunate because it just turned 6:15.
Back down here to the severe warning remains in effect here for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as quarter-size hail. Flip back over here, talk about the winds moving in. They're currently in Kentucky, honestly, but we do have a couple areas here that could get impacted. So Valley City, New Amsterdam, Glidis, Mockport. These could be cities in Kentucky as well. State Route 135 here near Central. These are some gustier winds highlighted here in the brighter greens and kind of lighter blues there, if you look hard enough. Those are moving east-southeast here, almost due east, actually. So Central, all the way up here toward Leavenworth, Wyandotte, Corydon, Elizabeth, Dogwood, and those general vicinities in between. Gustier winds here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the inspector tool. 57, 55, 49, 53. So right just under severe limits, but not quite there. Also, I believe, Joel, that these winds are well out ahead of the actual storms themselves. So perhaps an outflow boundary getting kicked out there. Let's take a look at the airport radar. Nothing definitive there. So perhaps some gustier winds before it starts to rain, because kind of draw this line here on the heavier winds here from Leavenworth all the way down here to about that 144 symbol down here. Keep that area in mind. I'm going to flip it over here to the radar and the overall. Yes, yeah. So basically, this is where your winds start, but the heavier wind doesn't really start.
Yeah, so it's starting to surge forward. I can see it starting to surge forward on my end too.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't draw on my thing. I don't know if my radar's live, but it basically, as Ryan said, it goes right on the right where the edge of the precipitation is. If I loop it, you can kind of see it. It's right this line right here. You can see it moving forward where there's no rain going across Breckinridge County here in northern Kentucky. But yeah, it is starting to surge forward. So again, don't be surprised if it gets gusty before the precipitation arrives if you are living here, especially in southern Harrison County. within the next couple minutes. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail till 6:45 Eastern, 5:45 Central.
That's going to be for Crawford and Harrison County here. I also want to point out, too, on the north side of this warning near Corridon, in the northern part of Harrison County, we have cells popping up there. You can see it on Joel's radar. If you see where Corridon is, just go a little bit north of there. We have a couple boundaries there storms are firing off of. So storms are kind of interacting with each other today. Surging outflow goes out, creates some lift for storms to get up and moving. And we're getting some pop-up showers there in northern Harrison County, which may also turn severe as these storms do contain or could contain larger hail as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds. Currently on that storm, not seeing anything on the hail tracker or wind tracker at this time, but they are just beginning to pop up. So we'll track those here. We'll get back to that here in just a few minutes. So going back up here to the Bedford cell now, I'm going to take my screen back.
Okay.
For the Bedford cell, a statement is in effect here. This is going to be for Lawrence County. So this is going to be in effect until what appears to be 6:45 Eastern tonight. It's going to include, Heltonville, Avoca, Bartlettsville, and Ulitic. I hope I got that right. Winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and penny-sized hail, and this is going to be moving toward the Erie and Heltonville areas, and the heaviest currently centered over, let's go zooming way in, Peerless, Thornton. This is going to be a road here, West Pleasant Run Road. Try saying that 5 times fast. So that's going to be moving very slowly off to the east-southeast. So also with these storms, already flooding going on across southern Indiana, because these storms are moving very slowly, we could also see some localized flooding or perhaps exaggerated effects of already ongoing flooding with these cells as they move very, very slowly off to the east-southeast. Going back to the west here toward Evansville and Vincennes, there's not much on radar. We do have some cells popping up over Illinois again, but currently Evansville, Princeton, Vincennes, you guys are all clear for now. Just some rain here for Jasper areas going up here toward Linton and Bicknell. Not much going on up there. Again, just some rain showers. Most of the stronger stuff remains out ahead where the instability is still highest, untapped. Got Latrina in chat here saying pea-sized hail in Harrison County. Thank you for that, Latrina. Also got Kelsey, what to expect in Corridon. So Corridon right now, just some rain showers. The storms that are currently popped up over you are basically very slow moving. I would expect them to continue to develop and move into Corridon. So I would expect there to be a lot of thunder and lightning, as well as some perhaps medium to larger size hail, as well as gusty winds with this. So technically you're under warning currently. These 2 cells up here are not warned. It's the warnings for the cell back down here toward Dexter. We'll see what happens as the outflow boundary from this storm that's dying kind of surges out into these storms. It could intensify very quickly here. So Corridon, I'd still be on alert for these 2 cells, 3 cells actually now as we're having more pop up. Be very cautious. Hail and wind is the threat today. I would not suggest tornadoes are likely. The wind shear is just not there today, but we already had one happen today. Likely tornado happened in Princeton earlier, so we cannot completely rule that out either. But overall, the concern is much higher for wind and hail. Joel, if you don't mind, I'm going to pop out and grab some food real quick. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to throw my radar up.
Yep, you got it.
Cool.
You're live.
Okay. So looking at our radar right now, we're just going to zoom out at all the alerts. Pardon for all of the craziness going on across the southern United States tonight in terms of boxes. But anywhere you see a pink is a current severe thunderstorm watch. There are no severe thunderstorm watches currently in effect for Indiana. We do have the severe thunderstorm warnings in the orange boxes, which right now there's only one left. And that exists for Crawford and Harrison County for those who might have missed it. This is very close to Louisville, moving rather slowly off to the east, but it could pick up speed as our outflow boundary surges forward. I'm also going to be watching this area where these boundaries are converging together. Sometimes you get some crazy spin-ups that happen here. I know in Michigan, we see it all the time here when you have like a couple boundaries that come together, especially like 3 or more. So I'll be watching this northern extent of this severe thunderstorm warning very closely in the coming minutes, and right where these cells are starting to fire up. The ZDR radar, which shows your updraft strength, again, we're looking for the reds and the whites even. That's a heavy updraft, and we can see right along that boundary there is a significant source of lift, and that's essentially what's popping up all these showers and thunderstorms right now, south of Marengo, south of Palmyra, south of Hardinsburg, north of Corden. So again, heavy thunderstorms right now in northern and central Harrison County. Not moving anywhere at the current time. Again, they're latching onto that boundary. It has to wait for a push from the west, which is this boundary coming in over Leavenworth right now. And again, probably into the Louisville area around 7:30, especially for this line back here where the severe thunderstorm warning is at. Again, moving off to the east at a relatively slow clip, but we'll have to see in the coming minutes. So if you're in Louisville and areas around, I would definitely be preparing in the next half hour. Probably won't have to take action until around 7:30 Eastern. So far tonight, had a couple 50 to 60 mile per hour damaging wind gusts, especially up there near Jasper, Indiana. Sense of roof damage to manufacturing plant. That was right there in Huntingburg, south of Huntingburg, where an ASOS station reported that 54 mile per hour wind gusts. That is right along the US 231 region. Again, been busy evening. We've been alive for about 3 hours now, give or take. I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma, primarily with Michigan Storm Chasers, filling in tonight for Indiana Weather Outlook. You'll see me, Ryan, Caleb, and the rest of the crew back and forth between us here at IWO and at MSC throughout the summer as the months go on. So we're excited to have you guys covered from beginning to end in both states, no matter where you're watching from. So make sure to like and follow the page if you haven't already. We'll be busy this summer. Again, it's already been a busy start so far here in March and April. Every single state between Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan so far this year, already over into the double digits. And well into our average to above average for the entire year. Those just tuning in, we also have those special weather statements up here in Lawrence County near Heltonville, north of Bedford. And that is in effect for 40 mile per hour winds, penny-sized hail. And this special weather statement, which will probably expire here soon, 50 mile per hour winds, penny-sized hail. So these are borderline severe. And the movement on both of these storms is off to the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So just goes to show you how long it's going to take for these storms to get to Louisville if they make it that far. The severe thunderstorm warning text reads off to the east at 35, so a little bit quicker due to that outflow boundary, but still rather slow nonetheless. You can definitely outdrive them. If you are in a severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile per hour winds, definitely want to be away from windows. Given that the winds will likely be out of the west, any trees on the west side of the house you want to stay away from. If you really want to be safe, definitely go to an interior room. Lowest floor of the building. Protect your head is the number one source. And as we say here at IWO all the time, don't sleep naked. Make sure you, in the event there is an event expected for your area and you're going to bed, make sure you have clothes on when you go to bed. So that way you can jump out of bed and go to your safe spot in moments time. You can see some of those reds and pinks are starting to dwindle down now over Perry County. Winds, however, still surging forward, colliding with some of these boundaries here, right over Brandenburg there, just across the river in Kentucky. Anywhere you see these lighter blues, I'm going to pause it here for a second. Some of these pixels here are upwards of 60 miles per hour, so still severe in spots, especially reading at about 900 feet off the ground. But it looks like the majority of this threat right now is currently south of central Indiana, as in the town, not the region, as it starts to cross over the Indiana 135 corridor south of Corden. And again, that's right where that gust front is. There's no precipitation here right now. So if you're living in central or Elizabeth, prepare now for those gusty winds along that gust front. Your precipitation is lacking super far behind. Just one of those days where the wind will take you by surprise if you're not careful. This outflow boundary has fired up showers all along it now. Let's flip over to our VIL product, see if there's any hail starting to form in here, and there is. There's a little bit. CC Radar seems to indicate that too, but vertically integrated liquid product is going to show up the best. Not much in terms of our original severe thunderstorm, but especially along the outflow boundary now, something to watch. So if you are in Harrison County, central Harrison County, north of I-64, it's affecting you guys right now. Anywhere where you see those pinks and blacks, especially, those pixels are indicative of heavy, heavy rain and even some small hail. So we'll have to see if there's an update to the severe thunderstorm warning. These storms are moving really slow. They have plenty of time to queue up a new severe thunderstorm warning if needed, but at the current time, that is not the case. Floyd County, Indiana, New Albany, Indiana area. Question for that. Yeah, it's the outflow boundary is right over you guys right now. You start to see some of those showers starting to pop up and thunderstorms right over Georgetown. We'll go over to ZDR radar again. You could really see it earlier, but it's right along the southern southern area of the county. So pretty much south of I-64 in Floyd County is right where the outflow boundary is right now. And you can expect some very heavy downpours as these showers move into your area. Again, these storms are pretty much stationary, so I would also expect a minor flooding risk to an already saturated portion of the state. So make sure to turn around and don't drown if you come across roadways that look like they are deceiving in terms of water over the roads. You don't want to tempt fate. If you're out there driving on the interstate tonight and I'm looking for a word here. Indulge in some hail, I guess you could say. Make sure to get off the interstate. Do not park underneath an overpass. That is going to just put yourself and other drivers in higher risk for like an accident, for example. So get off at the nearest exit. Take shelter in just a business. Usually gas stations are probably the best for that. But definitely do not be parking underneath overpasses. That is a no-no, as we say, especially here in Michigan. And it's the same rules here in Indiana as well. See, Ryan's back behind the scenes, but he's eating right now. So, hi, Ryan. You guys can't see it, but he's waving. No problem, Nicole. Glad to answer your question. See a question here from Gregory. Will Luguti be affected? Luguti is in just north of Jasper, which I believe has seen the majority of their thunderstorms move through already. I'll kind of zoom up there just to kind of get a glimpse. So Luguti's right in here. Right there, yeah. So they got showers and thunderstorms moving through right now. You have a stronger cell off to your north right near Odin, south of Crane. And the storm is kind of swaying off to the southeast at a clip of 10 to 15 miles per hour. I believe... Yes, it has been. Okay, so the special alert statement here for Davies and Martin County has been canceled or allowed to expire. The storm is now not as strong as they once thought. Is there a radar closer for Davies and Martin County? I do not believe so. Could maybe use the Indy radar. This is going to take forever to load, though. Not on my main computer, so it's a little slower. The radar product is GR2. If you're ever interested in getting a radar product for your computer, highly recommended, but it is a hefty penny. Oh, yeah, this is definitely a better radar for at least the cells that are away from our severe thunderstorm warning. So the Lawrence area, VIL, does not seem to be picking up on too much of a hail risk. So it is special weather statemented for penny-sized hail, which is about 0.75 inches in diameter, but not seeing a whole lot there anymore. I hear, is that Ryan back?
It is me.
Okay. But yeah, Lugutri, I think is how you pronounce it. I might be pronouncing it.
I think it's
wrong.
Lagodi. Somebody's gonna
Lagodi?
I think it's Lagodi.
Wow. So this is gonna happen for me. Being from Michigan, a native Michiganders, I'm probably gonna pronounce a lot of these cities wrong. So bear with me here. Gregory, if you're still watching, feel free to correct me on the pronunciation. I will take any teaching as needed. But yeah, this thunderstorm up here is definitely exhibited on the Indianapolis radar. Moving off to the southeast towards Shoals, might clip the goatee, but it's looking more likely for Shoals in central Martin County, and then eventually over towards Huron and Williams in extreme southwest Lawrence County, if it can stay together. There's a lot of ifs out here, especially with these instability thunderstorms popping up along the outflow boundaries. They like to fire up pretty quick and then collapse on themselves pretty quick. Especially the further north you get, the dews right now are also rather poor. Especially north of Louisville, anywhere north of Louisville right now, you're looking at a relative humidity of 80% at best, but there are some areas here that are not even 50%.
I'll say as well, Joel, the surface-based instability is only out there in pockets. There's not a wide area of our storm fuel here. It's kind of more just sporadic across the southern part of the state. So that could also help in aiding certain areas with certain storms. Other areas are kind of dying out. That's probably the reason why, for example, we're not seeing that Bloomington, or should I say Bedford cell, not doing too much of anything besides popping up, putting down some rain, and then kind of weakening. So,
Yeah.
in the meantime, further south, we have storms popping up that are blossoming into prolific rain, lightning, and perhaps some hail producers. So, again, the threat today is not, overly concerning. It's not widespread. It's not high by any means, but we're going to have these storms all summer long and spring as well. We get enough instability. We get enough sunshine. We have a trigger for them. They're going to pop up. They're going to do their thing. So this is not unusual at all. But it's not organized by any means. It's just kind of random at this point.
It appears that far eastern Perry County has been trimmed from the severe thunderstorm warning. It still exists for the extreme northeastern corner, and no changes to Crawford there in Harrison County. That outflow boundary really took over, kind of sucked the life out of the original severe thunderstorm here. Nothing really too suspicious in terms of rotating winds either. That outflow boundary is now coming very close to Elizabeth. I would imagine the outflow boundary is moving at a relatively good clip. Again, they don't have it listed in the warning, but I would have to guess probably at least 50 miles per hour.
We'll check on the airport radar. We do have a radar there.
Me or you? I know on this, I think you might have to take yours.
I'm not really seeing much anything out of it anyway, so it'd be useless to kind of show it. I don't see anything on it. That one warning remains in effect here for most of Harrison, or should I say mostly in Harrison County, but also southern part of Crawford as well, included in that warning. That is the only severe thunderstorm warning in effect that is in the state of Indiana currently. We do have numerous thunderstorms that are ongoing. We actually had a brief tornado, or we think was a brief tornado earlier in the Princeton area, which is going to be over in the Gibson County area. We'll see if that's confirmed by NWS, which is a pretty clear cut. I think it is, based on what we're seeing on the radar and damage and all that put together. But of course, the NWS makes the final call on that. But otherwise, I don't see anything overly concerning minus that one cell. And I do believe they just dropped the warning on the cell, Joel. They just canceled it, I believe.
Still waiting for it.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Okay.
It
probably takes a second.
Unless Radar Omega is glitching again, which is also a possibility.
Yep, there it goes.
Well, there we go. No warnings in effect.
Sweet. How long do you want to stay on here?
Well, we can answer that two ways. We'll probably pop out now and then pop back in if anything happens to go live or to go severe. Or we can just stay on and hang out for a while.
Nothing looks too overly concerning out here.
Not really at this point in time. And plus, we can switch over to our software if anything does go severe. We can switch over to the new software.
Hmm.
So,
Which it would have to be, it would have to be you because obviously I'm away. So
So I think at that point we're going to wrap it up here, guys. We could still see a few severe storms that do pop up over the course of the next few hours here. They should die out by sunset or just after sunset as they lose the heat of the day, so to speak. So the threat should be over here in the next 2 or 3 hours at most. Right now, no severe warnings in effect. So that means we're going to pop out of here. If one does happen to go severe, either from now until whenever, we'll be on to cover it. But for right now, we're going to pop out of here. We're going to get set up on our new software in case one does go severe. But in the meantime, we're going to pop out. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys either later tonight or sometime in the near future for more coverage and or briefings here at Indiana Weather Online. So you guys enjoy your day. We're going to end it right here.